Chapter 112. Yu Ling was anxious to protect his son, so he had already ordered his family warriors to wait outside the arena. Seeing that Yu Yan's shield had disappeared, they immediately rushed forward to save him. The barbaric cow Shadow didn't care who it was. She bombarded them with her huge fists, hitting them like raindrops. The first family warrior who rushed up to save Yu Yin couldn't dodge in time because there was someone behind him. He screamed as he was sent flying more than 10 meters away. Another family warrior was cunning. He used his flying beast to dive down and take Yu Yin away. However, before he could be proud of himself, he was shocked to find that the Bloody Queen had already arrived at lightning speed and intercepted him in midair. The crescent blade in the Bloody Queen's hand spun like the wind. Wherever the crescent blade passed, no matter if it was the flying eagle, the family warrior, or even Yu Yin, who he was carrying, their bodies were all covered with bloody wounds. Blood splattered everywhere. In the end, Yu Ling had to personally take action. He used his iron arm to block the crescent blade and saved his son. He snorted coldly, and a strange black light flashed on his right hand. Danger! The Bloody Queen immediately flapped her wings and flew up into the sky. She was extremely agile, dancing in the air and distancing herself from Yu Ling. When Yu Ling saw that his son was covered with wounds, he was extremely angry. When he looked at Yu Yang again, he saw that this brat had an innocent expression of "I don't know anything." He almost exploded in anger. Yu Ling couldn't attack Yu Yang in front of everyone's eyes. He could only carry the heavily injured Yu Yin and jump down the stage, returning back to the clan. As for first Uncle Yu Shan, who had always been arrogant and unwilling to save his son, he still had a smile on his face, as if his son's life and death had nothing to do with him. The unconscious Yu Tian had just been carried by the family warrior when the barbaric cow Shadow chased after him from behind and punched him. The family warrior was heavily injured, his spine almost broken. The huge impact caused Yu Tian, who was still unconscious, to vomit blood. His injuries were probably not light. Fortunately, this family warrior who had a strengthened beast protected him with his life. Otherwise, Yu Tian's life would definitely be over. The injured family warrior took the opportunity and jumped down the stage in pain. His companion also hurriedly ran for his life, leaving behind his iron-tail crocodile. The iron-tail crocodile raised its long tail and prepared to attack the barbaric cow Shadow with all its strength. Who knew that Yu Yang's luck would explode today? The barbaric cow Shadow spat out flames from her nose and mouth. The red light in her eyes appeared once again. With a flash, the iron-tail crocodile, which was famous for its iron tail and bite force, was once again instantly killed. Boom, boom, boom. On the other side, Yu Ting and Yu Bing had also started fighting. Yu Ting originally wanted to come over and help save his big brother, but Yu Bing kept staring at him. She really wanted to help her brother, even if it was just a little. Therefore, when Yu Ting moved, she immediately controlled the 100-years-old Trant defender to attack. The battle between the brother and sister had finally met their match. Both of their strengths were evenly matched, and they were evenly matched. Yu Ting, who possessed a strengthening-type violent bear beast, had thick skin and flesh, so he wasn't afraid of being hit. The 100-years-old Trant defender was also a valiant beast that could sweep through the battlefield. The thing that it was least afraid of was a head-on clash. Furthermore, it also had the assistance of its entangling roots and thorny vines. When Yu Bing saw that she couldn't defeat Yu Ting, her fifth brother, she summoned another 100-years-old Trant defender to join the battle. In a short while, she turned the situation around. In the eyes of the spectators, they saw that the two Trants used their thorny vines and roots to entangle Yu Ting, who had transformed into a bear. Then, they raised their 4 tree arms and smashed them fiercely. Although Yu Ting, who had transformed into a bear, was in pain, he wasn't injured at all. He also raised his bear paws and counterattacked crazily. In the end, this battle became the most barbaric wrestling of strength. However, fifth brother Yu Ting was fighting personally, while seventh sister Yu Bing was controlling the 100-years-old Trant defender. Both of them were fighting head-on, intending to completely defeat the other party. The difference in strength between Yu Ting and Yu Bing was not big. In a short while, it was hard to tell who was stronger. Currently, Yu Bing had a slight advantage. However, if she wanted to quickly defeat Yu Ting, who had transformed into a bear who had infinite strength, it would probably be difficult for her. Let's do it too. Shuetan Lang summoned a silver-ranked level 4 storm giant after gathering his strength for half a day. The storm giant's upper body was that of a living creature, but its lower body was that of a whirlwind. It was extremely fast. The surface of the stage, which was made of stone slabs, was cut by the storm giant's whirlwind. The storm giant was a few meters tall. In the midst of Shuetan Lang's whirlwind, its battle power was boosted to the maximum. With a terrifying whirlwind, it howled and pounced towards Yu Yang. Yu Yang didn't want to fight with Shuetan Lang the most. If he didn't use his full strength, it wouldn't be easy to kill him. However, this brat was the future of the Shui clan. If he killed him, the entire Shui clan would probably chase after him. Fighting with him would be an arduous and unrewarding task. He was prepared to use a shameless move. When the storm giant arrived in front of him, he would jump off the stage and admit defeat. Since he wasn't bullying Shuetan Lang, he was bullying Yu Tian and Yu Yan. Now that he had destroyed their beasts and injured them so badly that they vomited blood, they wouldn't be able to advance any further. Thus, he decided to leave their lowly lives to torture slowly. Since there was still a long way to go, he wasn't afraid that Yu Tian and Yu Yin would vomit blood and die. As for Shuetan Lang, who cared about him? He couldn't be bothered to fight with this guy who liked to fight. It would be better to save his energy and slowly train the Bloody Queen when he returned. Just as Yu Yang was about to give up, a golden light shot onto the stage. With a shout, the whole audience was shaken. When Yu Yang looked carefully, he couldn't help but feel dizzy. The person who came was the royal swordswoman who was clad in full armor. She held the gold-ranked great sword on her back in her hands and shouted heroically at Yu Yang. I just heard that you little liar's skills are very powerful. I was wrong about you before. Come, let's fight. When Yu Yang heard this, he rolled his eyes. He thought to himself, Royal swordswoman, do you have anything better to do? Why are you fighting with me? The royal swordswoman shouted delicately as her chi exploded. The great sword flickered and a golden light flashed, as if a blazing sun had exploded. Shuetan Lang's storm giant had already frozen the entire stage into a platform of ice and snow. However, the great sword in the royal swordswoman's hands was like a blazing sun that spat out flames. Immediately, half of the ice melted. Around the royal swordswoman, the snow melted one after another and steam rose. The great sword was like a sun, its blazing light so bright that people couldn't even open their eyes. On the other side, Shuetan Lang's storm giant did not show any signs of weakness either. Together with the great sword of the royal swordwoman, the entire stage was split into two halves, one hot and one cold. Only the area around Yu Yang, who was in the middle, was slightly different. Little liar, what are you waiting for? I will use my full strength once I attack. I won't be courteous with you. After accumulating her strength, she didn't care whether Yu Yang agreed or not, and directly pressed towards him step by step. I didn't even provoke you, but you just had to make me angry. Yu Yang was furious. His temper exploded, and his killing intense soared crazily. He raised the Hui Jin magic blade in his hand high up. Under the urging of his innate chi, the energy from the demonized dragon crystal and the molten flame core condensed into a dark golden flame. The flame burned on the magic blade, extending to another meter. The tail of the flame swept across the stage, splitting the hard stone floor like a knife cutting through tofu. Sizzle, black smoke rose up. At the edge of the blade, there were traces of burning and corrosion. Normal warriors couldn't see it, but rankers like Jun Wu Yu and Elder Yu Hai could see it clearly. The two of them were extremely moved. This brat's magic blade was also a treasure. Furthermore, under his control, its power could instantly increase by a few times. Looks like this brat's control of chi was extremely proficient. He wasn't a useless nouveau riche who owned a golden king beast, but a hidden genius who had been training for more than 10 years. Without more than 10 years of hard training, his control of Qi would definitely not be so proficient and smooth. Could it be that this brat had been secretly taught by a strong warrior when he was young? His father, Yu Qiu, really didn't die? The two of them looked at each other, having this suspicion in their hearts. Not only Jun Wu Yu and Elder Yu Hai, even Yu Shan, Yu Ling, Feng Xiao Yun, and Feng Kuang had the same suspicion. Without the guidance of a strong warrior, this trash definitely wouldn't be able to train himself to become a genius. Furthermore, this kind of energy manipulation technique was definitely not something that a trash who had just contracted a grimoire could have. If that was the case, this brat had always been patiently training. Actually, he was already a strong warrior, but he was just pretending to be a pitiful weakling who could be bullied by others. Even if the whole world laughed at him, he would still hide it. Yu Shan and Yu Ling couldn't help but shiver when they thought about how their nephew had such a patient temperament and such wisdom. Could it be that he knew the truth? So this brat had always been accumulating his strength in secret, waiting for an opportunity to take revenge? In order to prevent accidental injuries, everyone quickly leave the martial arts practice square and retreat to a safe place. Seeing that they were serious, Elder Yu Hai didn't stop them. Instead, he shouted at his clansmen, ordering them to leave. Actually, without waiting for his order, the clansmen and the representatives of the various clans had already left the martial arts practice square. They were so scared that they ran far away, not daring to stay in this terrifying martial arts practice square. Not bad. It's been a long time since I've seen such an exciting fight. Jun Wuyu sat still, leisurely and contented. Other than Jun Wuyu, Elder Yu Hai, Yu Shan, Yu Ling, Feng Xiao Yun, Feng Kuang, Yin Pejun's father, Yin Qianzhong, Elder Ku Ming, who was sent by the Floating Mist sect to teach Yu Feng, Shui clan's representative Shui Wendao, and other rankers who were elders and above could still sit still. Even the rankers who were at the level of level 5, Grandmaster, all stood up, secretly on guard, in case they were accidentally injured by the 3 people in the martial arts practice square. On the west side, Shui Tanlang had turned the entire western martial arts practice square into an ice hell. On the east side, the royal swordswoman had turned her side into a burning land. Her giant sword was like a blazing sun in the sky. Everywhere it passed, everything was on fire. Seeing that the situation was not good, Yu Ting and Yu Bing both stopped and left at the same time, in case they affected Yu Yang's performance. In the middle of the martial arts practice square, under the double pressure, Yu Yang suddenly understood something. He closed his eyes and used the Hui Jin magic blade to cut the space around him. At first, it was extremely fast, but then it became slower and slower, rounder and rounder. Every time he rotated, his movements would become more perfect. At first, people felt that his rotation was a kind of intentional movement. But gradually, Jun Wuyu, Elder Yu Hai, and the others realized that this brat had improved during the battle, as if he had understood something. His improvement was extremely fast. Originally, his deliberate movements were becoming lighter and slower. In the end, it was indescribable, giving people a feeling that it was natural. That kind of rotation was in harmony with the heaven and earth. It was as if it was the wind in the air or the clouds in the sky. It was natural and wonderful, formless, unintentional, yet it was natural. Yu Yang felt that he was about to understand the true meaning behind it, but he was still a little bit away. It was as if there was a naked little beauty running in front of him. He was almost able to catch her, but she was extremely agile in dodging, avoiding his push. Yu Yang felt that he still needed to have a good fight in order to truly understand it. He must grow through battle. Thus, he decided to have a big fight with the royal swordwoman and Shui Tanlang. Since he couldn't avoid this fight anyway, he might as well let it become his training battle. Yu Yang suppressed the impatience in his heart and controlled the magic blade even more patiently. He used his innate qi to create a ball of flame and a ball of black gas, making them rotate beautifully, forming 2 beautiful semicircles that intertwined with each other. It felt as if a flaming fish and a demonic fish were swimming around each other. Any flames or cold air that invaded their surroundings were all swallowed up by this circle of Pisces. What made Yang himself pleasantly surprised was that it was exactly the same as the profound meaning he had just comprehended. The storm giant and the royal swordswoman's double attack caused this slow and indescribably beautiful circle of Pisces to silently bounce away. The royal swordswoman somersaulted a dozen times and elegantly landed on the stage. The expression on her face was one of shock. This was the first time in her life that she was sent flying by her opponent without even touching her weapon. The storm giant was even more disheveled. It lost its balance and fell off the stage with a rumble. The whirlwind swept up sand, bricks, and countless tables and chairs. It only managed to stabilize itself after being sent flying more than 10 meters away. Shui Tianlang was terrified. He thought to himself that this kind of ingenious rebounding power could be used on a normal warrior. His storm giant was an elemental energy that didn't have a physical body. How could it be rebounded? And rebounded so strongly? Good lad, I don't know if he comprehended this himself or if he was taught by an expert. This yin and yang Pisces is really amazing. Jun Wuyu slapped the table and praised. It is indeed a mysterious method to dissolve a strong enemy's qi. Amazing. Old man Ku Ming, who had not opened his eyes or opened his mouth, and the floating mist sect leader who was sent to teach Yufeng, also had a strange look in his eyes as he nodded in praise. There is no way to break it at the moment. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Feng Kuang, who was known as the 10,000 Withered Bones, opened his mouth for the first time. He expressed that there was no way to break it. This is definitely not Yu Qiu's sword technique. The Yin clan's substitute clan master, Yin Qianzhong, Shui Wendao, and Feng Xiao Yin looked at each other. A trace of jealousy flashed in their eyes. There were too many geniuses in the Yu clan. No matter if this unknown battle technique was secretly taught by Yu Qiu, or if this little lunatic had comprehended it himself, this lad was still a shocking genius. It seemed that after Yu Qiu, another battle technique genius would appear in the Yu clan. They believed that in a few years' time, the second Yu Qiu would appear in the Yu clan. He would not be inferior to Yu Qiu in the past. This third young master, who was ridiculed as trash by the world, was actually a true genius that surpassed his father. Interesting, it seems that I also need to use beasts. The royal swordswoman raised her giant sword and shouted with high fighting spirit. Qian, don't mess around. Jun Wuyu spat out his tea when he heard this. Princess Sisai, don't summon your beasts. The three of you, go out and stop fighting here. Otherwise, the entire Yu clan will be destroyed by you. When Elder Yu Hai heard that the royal swordswoman wanted to summon her beasts, he also hurriedly stood up and shouted loudly to stop her. He also told Yu Yang, the royal swordswoman, and Shui Tianlang to fight outside of the Yu clan castle and not in the Yu clan castle's plaza. Yu Yang was curious. What kind of beast did this royal swordswoman have that was so fierce? Even Jun Wuyu and Elder Yu Hai were worried about it. Chapter 113. All right, let's go out and fight. This place is too small. We can't fight to our heart's content here. The royal swordswoman canceled the summoning and raised her giant sword, preparing to invite Yu Yang to fight another 300 rounds. Unfortunately, when Yu Yang saw the expressions of Yu Shan and the others, he immediately changed his mind. Once he left, these two fellows might secretly attack Fourth Mother. If Fourth Mother didn't leave, he definitely couldn't leave. Furthermore, if he were to fight with the royal swordwoman and Shui Tianlang, he might even let first Uncle Yu Shan and Yu Ling take advantage of him. It was more important for him to stay alive. Fighting and killing, stop it. Although Yu Yang was curious about the royal swordswoman's beasts, he immediately stopped and kept the barbarian Cow Shadow and the Bloody Queen. He ran away from the stage like a wisp of smoke. Shui Tianlang and the royal swordswoman were both people who gave him headaches. It was better not to provoke them. As for the newly comprehended combat skills, he would go back and ponder them. At most, he would have to use it in his dreams and ask the big lowly in his dreams to correct it. It shouldn't be a big problem. Only an idiot would reveal all of his abilities. Since he was almost done, he should stop while he was ahead. Furthermore, he couldn't be too far away from Fourth Mother. He mustn't be too careless and put her and the little girl's lives in danger. Even if their lives weren't in danger, what if they were poisoned by an incurable poison like Fourth Uncle Yuling? No matter what, he couldn't leave now. As for comprehending new combat skills, it wouldn't be too late to find an opportunity in the future. Brat, don't run. The royal swordswoman and Shui Tan Lang were stunned. Why did this brat run away as soon as they started fighting? If they couldn't fight here, they could fight outside. Fourth Mother, we've already paid our respects to our ancestors. Let's go home. Shui Tan Lang and the royal swordswoman chased after them relentlessly. However, Yu Yang was very shameless. He bent down and picked up the little girl. The two people who were about to attack him couldn't do it anymore because they were afraid that they would misunderstand and hurt the little girl. I'm looking forward to the day when I can fight you to my heart's content. I still have 10 times, 20 times, or even 30 times the strength of the blizzard summoning. Next time, we must determine the victor. The Ice Cube guy Shui Tan Lang was very unconvinced. He felt that he was the most outstanding man in Gongjian. Although he did not deny that Yu Clan student, this shameless guy, was also outstanding, he still hoped to prove that he was even more outstanding. When summer comes, I'll invite you over to get some ice cubes to cool off. Once Yu Yang said this, Shui Tan Lang immediately turned around and left. Hee. Yu Bing covered her mouth and giggled. Hey, you're not allowed to give up halfway. Let's fight again. The royal swordswoman hated this kind of rascal to the core. She really wanted to use her greatsword to smash this brat's head. The fight had just started, and he actually ran away. Did he not have any sense of honor as a man? Yu Yang, on the other hand, was extremely disdainful. It was fine to have a sense of honor, but it couldn't be eaten as a meal. A man could have a stronger sense of honor when he was conquering a beauty, but what was the point of having such a strong sense of honor when fighting normally? Hugging the little girl, Yu Yang intentionally shook his head and sighed. I've lost. I'm just a piece of trash. It's fine if I let people bully me every day, but as a princess of the royal family, why don't you go to the lakeside to take off your clothes and take a bath, and instead come here to bully a piece of trash like me? Please be kind and give us a way out. We're already being bullied to the point where we can't live anymore. Fourth Mother, let's go. The beautiful woman shook her head lightly. Let's stay for another 2 days. I want to see Miss Feng and ask about the situation. She took the little girl from Yu Yang's embrace and gently caressed Yu Yang's head. Unknowingly, my son has grown so tall. Saner is very capable. Fourth Mother is very happy. I'll tell you about it later. Right now, you should accompany Princess Qian Qian. As the host, you can't neglect an important guest like Princess Qian Qian. Yu Yang put on the appearance of a filial son and nodded vigorously. Of course, Fourth Mother, take care. I'll definitely take good care of the princess. I'll definitely let her have a happy sex life. Of course, he didn't dare to say the second half of his sentence. The royal swordswoman frowned. She realized that her sixth senses had degenerated a little. Why couldn't she understand what this brat was saying? Was it because she was confused, or was it because she was used to this brat's nonsense? Strange, she didn't know that there was a certain shameless guy in this world who had a kind of counterfeit inherent skill that could cheat people to death. If it wasn't for her sixth senses inherent skill that was extremely strong, she would probably have been fooled to death by him. Now that she had leveled up to level 2, counterfeit inherent skill, it was normal for her to be confused and disoriented from listening to him. If she didn't have any suspicions after listening to him, then it would be terrible. She would probably have been fooled to death by him. Your words aren't right. It's as if you want to take advantage of me. Are you thinking of something bad in your heart? The royal swordswoman's senses were indeed very strong. Yu Yang secretly thought that it was a close shave. Luckily, his counterfeit inherent skill had leveled up. She could only hear a little now, and was no longer as sure as before. Now it was time to fool her. Wasn't she just a princess? With a little training, he believed that there was a chance that she would become an obedient female slave. Yu Yang was fantasizing in his heart, but on the surface, he pretended to be sanctimonious and serious. How could it be? My feelings for the princess are as clear as the sun and the moon. My reverence for you is like a torrential river, unceasing. I was just preparing to kill a chicken and burn yellow paper to become sworn brothers with the princess. How could I be disrespectful to the princess? If I were to be disrespectful, then let the heavens strike that tavern owner in the east of Whitestone City. What does this have to do with the tavern owner in the east of Whitestone City? The royal swordswoman became more and more confused as she listened. Why did her six senses inherent skill fail? Nonsense, this has a lot to do with it. Yu Yang said mysteriously, I wouldn't tell normal people, but you're my brother. No, you're my princess, so I won't tell you. You don't know the tavern owner in the east of Whitestone City, right? He is a black-hearted merchant, even more black-hearted than those black-hearted merchants who produce black-hearted cotton. Other tavern owners add water to their wine, but he is different. He adds wine to water. This is just like San Lu adding milk to melamine. Tell me, if the heavens don't strike him to death with lightning, would there still be justice in this world? What kind of beast is this San Lu? What is it San Lu mixed with what milk? The royal swordswoman's head was getting bigger and bigger as she listened, completely unable to understand. You don't know San Lu? That is a mythical beast that possesses the stone petrification skill. Haven't you heard of it before? Drinking San Lu petrify an entire generation? Yu Yang purposely asked in astonishment. His expression was as if he had seen an ignorant idiot, looking like he was asking for a beating. I've never heard of it. The royal swordswoman really wanted to punch that exaggerated expression on his face. Student, I know that you don't pay attention to the outside world and only care about picking up girls, but you can't not even know about San Lu. Let me tell you, San Lu is the same as a mistress. They are both milk. Yu Yang said resolutely and decisively. I feel that you are lying. You are purposely playing with me. The royal swordswoman felt dizzy listening to him. She felt that something was very wrong, but she couldn't tell what was wrong. How would I dare to lie to you? You're the princess. Would a useless commoner like me dare to lie to the princess? Naturally, I wouldn't dare. Furthermore, an honest little wolf king like me has always treated people with sincerity, always insisting on speaking the truth, doing the truth, and cultivating to be a real person. How could I lie? I will tell you responsibly that I have never lied in my entire life. Yu Yang said something that even he himself didn't believe. Why don't you say that you are a benevolent person who would faint at the sight of blood? The royal swordswoman shrieked crazily. Fear of blood is my only shortcoming in life. I am naturally timid. No, I am naturally kind. Yu Yang, whose body was covered in other people's blood, smiled brilliantly, as if he was bathing in the spring breeze. Damn, you're the most shameless person I have ever seen in my life. The royal swordswoman felt a headache coming on. When you find out that you have completely misunderstood me, you will definitely feel very guilty. But don't worry, I will forgive you. By the way, tolerance is also one of my strong points. Furthermore, it is the strongest point in my life. The Yu Yang who had killed his way into the Yu clan castle a few days ago to take revenge, and today who had knocked Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and even the 7-year-old Yu Feng off the stage to take his revenge, evaluated himself like this. Forget it. Let's not talk about you first. If the most shameless person in the world met you, he would probably commit suicide because of his inferiority complex. But I still don't understand what you meant by your words just now. The royal swordswoman was a little confused. She decided not to talk about this brat, because that would only anger her to death. At the same time, she would have a terrible headache. Let's do something, then we will understand. Where do you want to start? Yu Yang asked sincerely. You. The royal swordswoman obviously understood what he meant. She became angry and grabbed Yu Yang's collar, scolding, You dare to molest me? I'm innocent. I think even a blind person can see who is the one molesting who right now. Yu Yang, whose collar was grabbed, shouted out that he had been wronged to the heavens. He looked as if he was about to jump into the river and commit suicide. Seeing the royal swordswoman glaring at him, he revealed a smile and said, I indeed wanted to molest you, but I only said it. I didn't do it. Princess, you have no evidence and forcefully accused me of molesting you. This lowly commoner is very wronged. Why don't you wait until I have molested the princess and become the truth? It won't be too late for the princess to be angry then. Don't you think my words have any logic? You have a bone to pick with you. The royal swordswoman was extremely angry, but in the end, she laughed. This brat could be honest at times. Occasionally, he would also speak the truth. Thank you for not killing me, princess. This lowly commoner will take his leave. Yu Yang hurriedly slipped away. Wait, you just said that I went to the lakeside to take off my clothes and bathe. How do you explain that? If you can't explain it, I will punish you for slander. The royal swordswoman's memory was extremely good. She could still clearly remember the nonsense that Yu Yang had spouted before. Don't you have this kind of hobby? Yu Yang blinked his big eyes and asked curiously. I don't have this kind of perverted hobby. The royal swordswoman almost fainted. Who will be so bored as to run to the lakeside to bathe? But it was clearly written in the novels that the princesses all fought to be the first to bathe at the lakeside. Then, whoever picked up their clothes would win their hearts. I even planned to lie in ambush at the lakeside to see if there were any princesses who went there to bathe. Yu Yang's tone was very disappointed. It sounded as if he was going to hang himself. Idiot, that's a novel. Furthermore, I've never read such a senseless thing in any novel before. The royal swordswoman punched Yu Yang's chest with all her might. I would rather that it was true. Yu Yang had an expression that looked like he was about to cry. You're already hopeless. The royal swordswoman was speechless. June, will you send someone over to ask Yu Yang to go over? Who knew that Yu Yang would use an excuse that made everyone sweat for him, and flatly refused. Yu Yang touched his chest and pretended to be seriously injured. He said to the guard, It's an honor for an ant like me to be asked by the emperor. However, I caught a cold a few days ago and haven't recovered yet. I overestimated my strength and went to the arena and was seriously injured. Look at me, I'm covered in blood. It seems that I won't be able to live much longer. I'm going to go back and write my will. I'm going to hand over my last party dues to the organization. No, the regiment dues. Ah, I forgot. I'm not in the regiment. I'm just a young pioneer. God, I'm so regretful. No, I'm going to commit suicide. Before he could finish his sentence, he had already disappeared like a wisp of smoke. The royal swordswoman was dumbstruck. After a long while, she muttered, Is there something wrong with this brat's head? Why is it so messy? Ha ha ha. After Jun Wu Yu heard the guard's report, he slapped the table and laughed out loud. This brat is really rude. Looks like we really have to catch him and punish him. If we don't beat him up, he won't be able to get rid of his stubbornness. Elder Yu Hai also laughed. Youngsters nowadays are really daring. Back then, when my old man called me over to lecture him, sometimes I really didn't want to go. I really wanted to tell my old man that I've had enough of him lecturing me every day. But in the end, I couldn't say it. Brother Hai, what do you plan to do? Let him go crazy for 2 years, or teach him a lesson. Why don't we find something for him to do, so that he won't think that us old men are all muddle-headed and blind? Why don't we let him go to that place to train? I believe that this brat will definitely not disappoint us. Jun Wu Yu laughed. Although Jun Wu Yu's words were light, it was like a bolt from the blue, causing Feng Xiaoyun, Shui Wendao, Yin Xianzhong, Yu Shan, Yu Ling, and the others to be moved. They were so shocked that they all stood up. What? Your Majesty, isn't it a little too early for children to go to that place to train? Yin Xianzhong hurriedly stood up, his face full of anxiety. Yes, that place is too dangerous. Shui Wendao also nodded in agreement. Your Majesty, why don't we let them train in the 3rd floor of Tongtian Tower for a period of time? That place is really hard to predict. Feng Xiaoyan also had his doubts. Yu Shan and Yu Ling looked at each other, but didn't say anything. Since Yu Tian and Yu Yin were now crippled, they wouldn't have a chance to go. It's a little early to go to that place, but they are only going to the outer circle temporarily. Without 2 years, they probably won't be able to enter the inner circle. So it's fine. Don't look down on the children nowadays. Pajun, Qi Sha, Tan Lang, and that little lunatic just now are all the most outstanding talents. I have high hopes for them. When they have cultivated to that realm and met the requirements, I will recommend them to the old man above. Don't worry, I think their achievements will be above yours. They're the future hope of our Disya Empire and the four great clans. Just let them go. Birds can fly in the vast sky. Fish can swim in the vast sea. Don't tell me you want to watch over them and let them become flowers that can't withstand the wind and rain. Rankers are all trained. The harder it is, the stronger it is. Jun Wuyu comforted them with kind words and promised with a smile, "Don't worry, our Disya imperial family will not be stingy. We will take out maps, notes, treasures, and so on for them to use. Do you think I don't want them to become useful? Do you think I'm not worried about their safety? As long as you are willing to let them go, I can provide everything. Since your majesty has given us such kindness, we are extremely gratified." Yin Xianzhong, Shui Wen Dao, Feng Xiao Yun, and the others bowed together, thanking Jun Wuyu. "I will give you 3 months to prepare. You Tian and you Yin should also go. If their beasts die, they can contract another one. They still have their guardian beasts. Their guardian beasts are the most important. Don't worry about the others. Furthermore, their strength can also be increased. This time, the imperial family will give them 2 bronze-ranked beasts to increase their strength. However, you must pay attention to unity in the future. Don't let a tragedy like the death of a genius happen again." Jun Wuyu gave Yu Shan and Yu Ling some benefits. At the same time, he also warned them not to have any ideas about Yu Yang. Don't let a tragedy like Yu Qiu happen again. Otherwise, he would go crazy and kill them. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Yu Shan and Yu Ling naturally replied respectfully on the surface. However, no one knew what they were thinking in their hearts. Jun Wuyu waved his hand. Everyone quickly took their leave and left. After dismissing everyone, Jun Wuyu started to converse with Elder Yu Hai again. "Brother Hai, forget about me. He would definitely not want to see me. As his grandfather, you should go and talk to that little lunatic. I feel that he seems to specialize in combat skills. His knowledge of beasts is very shallow. Why don't you let him go to school for 3 months to learn basic knowledge? What do you think?" Jun Wuyu's eyesight was incomparably sharp, and his judgment of people was extremely accurate. However, what he said was mainly because he understood that Yu Yang was not valued by the clan and had not received any formal training. This little lunatic had always been hiding at home and had not received any good basic training. He had not received any formal education and only had a brute force. This was not a good thing for his growth. I want to give Chiaoi's things to him. I hope that it will be useful to him. Sigh, this brat can endure patiently, but he is still young. He can't endure for long. It is not a good thing to become famous too early. If he becomes a level 6 elder or a level 7 overlord in a few years, it won't be too late to become famous then. He has become famous too early now. I'm afraid that people will be jealous of him." Elder Yu Hai sighed. "Don't even think about it. This brat is smarter than his father. He is extremely cunning. He is a person who can achieve great things. All right, give him my things. Of course, there must be some conditions. You have to let him do something for me. The thing I obtained from the old man with great difficulty in the past. I can't give it to this brat for free." When Jun Wuyu saw the royal swordswoman, he immediately raised his voice and asked, "Qin Xian, how is it? What did that brat say to you?" "That brat lied to me, but I can't catch him. My 6 records, inherent skill is useless against him." The royal swordswoman replied gloomily. "I can't be?" When Jun Wuyu and Elder Yu Hai heard this, their faces were filled with disbelief. Chapter 114. Yu Clan Castle. When night fell, Yin sat in his room for a long time. Even now, he still couldn't accept reality. The loser he hated the most in his life, he had really turned over a new leaf. If that loser had only learned his father Yu Qiu's combat skills, it would have been fine. But he also had a golden king beast. This gap was almost impossible to make up for. No matter how hard he tried, he could never catch up. How cruel was reality? Why wasn't he the one who had a golden king beast? If only he had a gold-ranked beast, how good would that be? Why did the heavens love that loser so much? Why wasn't it him? He was so outstanding, so hardworking, yet he couldn't even have a golden king beast? Why did he, that loser, have such a fortuitous encounter? Yu Yin remembered that he was humiliated by that loser in the tournament and lost miserably in the end. He even had to ask his father to save him in order to survive. His heart was filled with hatred. If he didn't kill that loser in this life, he swore that he wasn't human. But that loser already had a Golden King beast, and his strength had increased greatly. How could he kill him? Fourth young master, are you asleep? Do you want to talk? Suddenly, an old voice sounded from outside the window. Who? Yu Yin was shocked. He felt a gust of sinister and terrifying demonic energy enter through the window, as if a demon king had descended. Yu Yin was so scared that he hurriedly summoned his strongest beast. But just as he reached out, he realized that his strongest flame lion and flame guard had already been killed by that loser bloody queen. He immediately sweated profusely. Luckily, he still had his guardian beast, Flame Wolf. Otherwise, he would have been swallowed by this demonic energy. When the bronze-ranked level 3 Flame Wolf came out, it clamped its tail in fear and whined softly, as if it was frightened by this terrifying demonic energy. If it wasn't for the fact that guardian beasts would never betray its master, then the Flame Wolf would have probably abandoned its master and ran away like a normal beast. Yu Yin was so scared that his whole body was sweating. There was actually such a terrifying enemy hiding in the Yu clan castle. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly saw a flash of black light. That sinister demonic voice sounded. Yu clan fourth young master, you are a smart child. I think you should know that shouting is not a wise move. I can kill you before reinforcements arrive. Of course, if you are willing to eliminate your hostility and talk to me, then I believe that we will have many opportunities to cooperate, and it will be a very pleasant cooperation. No, you are a demon worshiper. I am a Yu clan disciple. I will definitely not be bewitched by a demon. Stop dreaming. Yu Yan's teeth were trembling. Looks like you've been deceived by too many textbooks. Who told you that demons must be the enemy of humans? In the higher levels of Tong Tian Tower, in the vast outer realm, there are many human rankers and demon rankers joining hands to fight against the common enemy. I believe you have heard of the Heaven Realm, right? Do you know what kind of world that is? That is the world where humans and demons coexist. Of course, there are more races and more powerful and terrifying enemies there. Now, you are as weak as an ant. Do you want to pursue a higher realm? Do you want to pursue greater power? Look at you, a weak and pitiful worm. After losing 3 bronze-ranked trash beasts, you are so dejected. I really feel sad for you. You will never know that in the powerful outer realm, even gold-ranked beasts are just trash. If you want to continue being a weak ant, then I will leave. If you still have the heart to improve and want to obtain greater power, then we can talk. The demon-like shadow outside the window slowly tempted him. Can you give me a gold-ranked beast? Yu Yin clenched his fists. He knew that once he accepted the demon's temptation, then he would be completely finished. However, he was indeed unwilling. He could lose to anyone, but he definitely could not lose to a trash. Instead of being like this, a weakling who was as insignificant as an ant, it would be better to have a strong beast and become a ranker who could sweep away everything. Gold-ranked beast. As long as he had a gold-ranked beast, then he would be able to catch up to that trash in an instant. If he combined it with his training, then defeating that trash would no longer be an illusory dream, but a reality. This was a chance, the best chance. However, if he really accepted the demon's gift, then he might never be able to turn back. He would no longer have a place in the Yu clan, and he might even become a demon worshiper that everyone in the world would want to kill. Did he really have to do that? After thinking for a while, Yu Yin couldn't help but shiver. Right now, he found himself standing at the edge of a cliff. Below him was an endless abyss. Should he continue to be a weak ant, or should he choose to fall? Child, you are too impatient. With your abilities, even if I give you a gold-ranked beast, you will not be able to contract it. Of course, I can give you a silver-ranked beast. After you contract it, you can slowly cultivate it. When the time is right, we will use a secret technique to turn it into a gold-ranked beast or even higher. You don't have to worry about this. We are omnipotent. The demon shadow outside the window laughed mischievously. Give me a gold-ranked beast egg. Give me a silver-ranked beast, but I still can't beat that trash. I must defeat that trash. I must kill him. Whenever Yu Yin mentioned Yu Yang, he would gnash his teeth in anger, hating him to the bone. Impatient people will never be able to achieve great things. Of course, I understand the hatred in your heart. Since it's like this, how about I send a messenger to teach that trash a lesson? I will send someone to cripple him and make him unable to improve for a few years. Meanwhile, you can use this time to quickly improve, and then you can easily kill him. I guarantee that when you become stronger, killing him would be as easy as pinching an ant to death. The demon shadow outside the window increased his tone to tempt him. I can't believe you. You are a demon worshiper. You must be lying to me. Yu Yin struggled in his heart. Without a gold-ranked beast egg, he was not willing to believe in a beautiful future. If this demon lied to him, then what should he do? Fourth young master, I've already said that you are very smart. However, you will never know how powerful our abilities are. We are omnipotent. Listen to the news tomorrow. That abnormal trash will definitely be heavily injured. This is because we are being lenient. We will leave you a fruit of victory for you to enjoy in the end. Smart child, I am not in a hurry. If you have thought it through, I will come and find you again. Or you can come to the Black River Valley in the 3rd floor of Tong Tian Tower to find me. Young child, when a fortuitous encounter comes in front of you, when you are standing at the crossroads of your destiny, never miss the opportunity and don't foolishly walk on the wrong path. A light breeze blew past the window, and the demon shadow had already disappeared. What should I do? Yu Yin wiped the cold sweat off his face and muttered to himself. He didn't know that half an hour ago, this demon shadow had appeared outside his eldest son Yu Tian's window and said the same thing. 5 minutes later, the demon shadow appeared outside Yu Yang's window. However, before he could open his mouth, Yu Yang's voice came from inside. I'm not asleep yet. What do you want to talk about? If you want to lure me away with a silver-ranked beast like what you did to Yu Yin, I am sorry to tell you that I am not interested in silver-ranked beasts. What do you want to talk to me about? A demon worshiper who has never been to the heaven realm, yet you talk nonsense everywhere. Who is your master? Is it the great demon king Baruth? Is it the demon king Ha Xian? Or is it the lich king Grun? Yep. This was the first time in his life that the demon shadow had the illusion of being seen through. He asked in surprise, How did you know? Were you following me just now? I'm sorry. Originally, I wanted to secretly beat up that brat Yu Yin and remind him to wake up and pee. I didn't expect to hear your speech. You talked so extravagantly and pretentiously that I almost wanted to applaud you. I guessed that you would come and talk to me, so I specially rushed back to wait for you. Why? What do you want to talk to me about? Yu Yang opened the door very generously and stood at the door, making a gesture to invite him in. I have underestimated you. Yu Clan's 3rd young master, we will meet again. A black teleportation ball appeared in the demon shadow's hand. It's useless to use the same trick on a Saint Seiya. Wrong. It's useless to use the same escape trick on me. Yu Yang smiled brightly. The demon shadow who wanted to break the teleportation ball to escape suddenly found that he couldn't move his whole body. An irresistible binding force locked him in place. A small and exquisite frost blade slashed from behind and easily cut off the arm of the shadow demon that was holding the teleportation orb. At the same time, the demon shadow's broken arm and shoulder quickly turned into ice. There was someone behind him, and an extremely strong one at that. Could it be that this was the person that his master had mentioned before? This was the expert that taught the trash 3rd young master battle skills? It was indeed true. Behind the trash Yu Clan's 3rd young master, there was indeed a strong hidden expert. Just as the demon shadow stretched out his hand and wanted to summon his grimoire, there was a whooshing sound from behind. A golden arrow nailed into the demon shadow's remaining right arm, instantly turning it into stone. The demon shadow was so scared that his soul almost left his body. Stone element Medusa. No need to guess, this was the work of stone element Medusa. Luckily, he didn't look back. Otherwise, his whole body would have turned into stone. Screech. With a splash of blood, a golden trident pierced through the demon shadow's chest. On the tip of the trident, there was a jet-black energy core that looked like a crystal core. The demon shadow's body swayed and almost immediately fainted from the pain. I will come back for revenge. The demon shadow angrily stepped on the teleportation ball that had fallen to the ground. He knew that he was finished. Even if he could escape in time, he would probably die because of the heavy injuries on his body. However, as long as he still had one breath left, he would bring back the important news that the trash third young master had an expert protecting him. In front of him, Yu Yang was faster than lightning. He formed a sword with both of his hands and pierced towards the demon shadow's right chest. I know that some demons have 2 demon hearts, so this move is useless against me. Die. The innate sword chi instantly pierced through the demon shadow's remaining demon heart. The demon shadow's body rumbled, and a silver grimoire appeared out of thin air. With a pa sound, it fell to the ground. Countless black gas evaporated from the grimoire. The teleportation ball's black light pillar rose up. At the same time that the demon shadow's corpse disappeared, the hidden Lamia lowly little Wenli waved her dual icicle blades. The blade was even faster than the teleportation light pillar, cutting through the air and slashing through the demon shadow's neck. Behind her, the stone element Medusa with the golden bow and the storm mermaid with the golden trident did not even have time to launch a second wave of attacks. However, just the first coordinated surprise attack was already a great success. If it was an official battle against the demon shadow, it would be extremely difficult to kill a strong enemy with a summoning grimoire. Even if it was heavily injured, the demon shadow could still use the teleportation ball to escape in time. Under Yu Yang's well-planned encirclement, he used his strategy. In the end, it was an instant kill. This was the power of the combination of wisdom and strength. Whether it was at the Yu clan village, in front of the Yu clan castle, or in the arena, Yu Yang had never used his true strength. However, in a situation where no one saw, he killed the demon shadow in an instant. At the same time, he purposely created the illusion that there was an expert protecting him from behind. This could also be considered as a stern warning to the power behind the demon shadow. Other than the silver grimoire on the ground and the demon heart nailed to the storm mermaid's golden trident, the other parts of the demon shadow's body, including the arm that was cut off by little Wenli, were all teleported away. Everyone did a good job, especially Xiao Wenli. She put in the most effort. When Yu Yang praised her, little Wenli beamed with joy. Her 6 small arms hugged Yu Yang's thighs and acted like a spoiled child. Yu Yang hurriedly picked up the silver grimoire. This thing still had research value. Who knows, maybe one day, he would be lucky enough to contract a copy of it. Then, he would be rich. As for the stone element Medusa and the storm mermaid, they quickly returned to little Wenli's diamond grimoire. Little Wenli looked at the demon heart that was pierced by the golden trident. Her face showed a little bit of disgust, as if she had seen something very dirty. Unlike her, Hui Tai Lang was drooling. However, Yu Yang didn't say it was for him, so he didn't dare to steal it. You didn't do any work today, and you still want to eat something good? Yu Yang first scolded Hui Tai Lang. In the end, when he saw Hui Tai Lang drooling like a waterfall, he couldn't bear it anymore. Forget it. It's just a broken demon heart. The stingy guy from another world realized that this demon heart was useless, so he kicked it to Hui Tai Lang. This rare act of generosity made Hui Tai Lang extremely happy. He first swallowed it in one gulp, then wagged his big tail. Yu Yang saw that Hui Tai Lang's demonic chi was increasing continuously. Now that he had eaten a demon heart, he reckoned that it wouldn't take long for him to advance a step further. If he could become a silver beast, then giving him a few more demon hearts and giving him more innate chi wouldn't be a problem. However, this fellow wouldn't transform into a Cerberus in the end, right? With regards to Hui Tai Lang's future evolution, Yu Yang only thought about it for a moment, but he didn't think too much about it. In any case, no matter what he did, he reckoned that it would be the weakest among all of his beasts. 10 kilometers away, in a small forest, a man dressed in white stood under the shadow of a tree with his hands behind his back, quietly waiting. A black teleportation circle appeared on the ground. A burst of light rose, and a teleportation pillar shot up into the sky, reaching a height of more than 10 meters. Have you completed your mission? The man dressed in white asked indifferently with his hands behind his back. The demon shadow that was teleported out did not answer. His head fell off his neck and rolled on the ground, all the way to the man dressed in white's feet. His gaze froze. Although he was already dead, he couldn't rest in peace. A second later, the man dressed in white who was standing with his hands behind his back turned around in astonishment, revealing a face that no one could have imagined. He was actually the Yu clan's substitute clan master, Yushan. Yushan, dressed in white, had a complicated look in his eyes. He looked at the corpse of the demon shadow that was teleported out for a long time, carefully observing it. He carefully examined the demon shadow's severed head, pierced demon heart, petrified arm, and frozen shoulder. In the end, he came to a conclusion. There was indeed a rancor behind Xiao San. It was this rancor who had secretly attacked and killed the demon shadow almost instantly. Furthermore, this rancor was not only an expert in combat skills, he also had an extremely strong beast. There was at least a stone element Medusa. As for the frost, it could be caused by a treasure in the hands of a rancor. 2 demon hearts, one shattered and one snatched. It should be that the rancor realized that the demon shadow had 2 demon hearts after destroying the demon heart. Hence, he quickly dug out the second demon heart. Furthermore, before the demon shadow teleported away, this rancor had even chopped off the demon shadow's head. Lastly, the most important point was that this rancor had wanted to capture the demon shadow alive from the start. He must have killed the demon shadow the moment the demon shadow shattered the teleportation orb to escape. The teleportation orb only needed 1 second to teleport. However, in that 1 second, this rancor had made several different fatal attacks. Too strong. The demon shadow that had a grimoire was instantly killed. He didn't even have time to summon his grimoire. What kind of rancor was this? A level 7 overlord? Or a level 8 emperor? Yushan looked up at the sky and sighed softly. Looks like I have to continue enduring. In the Yu clan castle, Yu Yang, who had instantly killed the demon shadow with little one Li, was currently flipping open the silver grimoire that he had obtained and studying it. The silver grimoire that he had obtained previously had already become an instance dungeon. Could this instance dungeon work? If it didn't work now, then when he leveled up in the future, would he be able to contract another instance dungeon grimoire? What kind of secrets would be left behind in other people's grimoires? Yu Yang was currently researching this problem. He had a strange feeling in his heart that the more grimoires he obtained, the more benefits he would obtain. Now, what use would this silver grimoire be? Chapter 115. Yu Yang stretched out his hand and pressed it lightly on the silver grimoire, carefully sensing it with his mind. It was as if there was an extremely faint thing deeply stored in the silver grimoire. It seemed to be an unknown energy, faintly discernible and ever-changing, giving Yu Yang an illusion that he could not grasp it. It was as if there was a naked beauty in front of him, less than a meter away, but separated by a glass wall. He wanted to reach out and grab her, but couldn't grab her no matter how hard he tried. The only thing Yu Yang could be sure of was that this silver grimoire definitely had some kind of secret. It was just that he couldn't uncover it yet. As long as he could study it thoroughly, he believed that he would have a deeper understanding of the summoning grimoire. He would also be more proficient in using the summoning grimoire. Little Winley blinked her big cute eyes. She saw that Yu Yang was clumsy and couldn't figure out, even after trying for a long time. She wanted to help Yu Yang, but unfortunately she couldn't speak, so she could only use her small hands to gently pull down Yu Yang's arm. What? Yu Yang was curious. Could it be that this little lowly had a good idea? Little Winley pointed her finger and summoned the diamond grimoire. How did you do it? Yu Yang had wanted to learn this move for a long time. He could summon the summoning grimoire without opening his mouth. 2 months ago, he imitated the little lowly's summoning and learned how to silently summon. However, the time required was as long as opening his mouth to summon. Moreover, silently summoning required more concentration. Yu Yang didn't have this ability to instantly summon with just a point of his finger. If he had silently said it earlier and pretended to be at ease, He could have disguised it as an instant summon. However, he didn't have any equipment before, so he hadn't grasped the technique to instantly summon it within a second. Moreover, among all the human warriors he had seen, other than City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Yu Yang hadn't seen anyone else who had this ability. Instant summoning was different from quick summoning. Quick summoning, no matter how fast it was, still required time and silent chanting. But this kind of instant summoning definitely didn't require any silent chanting or time. What made Yu Yang the most embarrassed was that little one Li could summon the Diamond Grimoire with just a light point of her finger. She could also summon it repeatedly, at will. For Yu Bing, after summoning once, she had to rest for at least half a day to summon the Diamond Grimoire again. If there was no battle, he would need at least an hour to recover. He would definitely not be able to summon continuously like Xiao Wenli. Yu Bing was still a genius. Her body was filled with spiritual qi, so she could only summon her for an hour. If it was any other warrior, they would probably need to rest for at least a day before they could summon the grimoire again. Of course, little Wenli wasn't the limit of difficulty. Yu Yang had seen someone who was even more magical than little Wenli, Queen Vivian Li. She didn't even need to summon the grimoire. She could directly take out the things in the grimoire. What was more magical was that she could easily turn the grimoire, which couldn't be changed or damaged by any force, into a crystal coffin. Yu Yang estimated that he wouldn't be able to have this kind of ability for the time being. However, Yu Yang still wanted to learn the technique of instant summoning. He carefully looked at little Wenli and reached out to her little head to feel her thoughts. Finally, he felt the flow of spiritual energy in her body. Yu Yang realized that the moment little Wenli reached out to summon the grimoire, the spiritual energy in her body automatically resonated with the grimoire. It was as natural as a person reaching out to eat or walking. It was completely natural, and summoning was effortless. If a normal grimoire contractor's summoning method was compared to hers, it would be like crawling on the ground clumsily. For example, little Wenli's summoning method was like running, while a normal grimoire contractor's summoning method was like a tortoise walking. They were not on the same level at all. Yu Yang felt for a long time. When he felt that he had more or less comprehended it, he excitedly imitated it. He wholeheartedly resonated with the grimoire. Then, he reached out his hand and guided his spiritual energy through his fingers, resonating with the grimoire rumble. His head exploded, and he almost fainted. His spirit was shaken. The mental scan after the summoning failed made Yu Yang's head ring with pain. He never knew that a summoning failure would be so unbearable. It was no wonder that normal warriors would faint from the pain when their summoning was interrupted. It was really unbearable. Yu Yang realized that the feeling was like walking up a flight of stairs. He was not prepared and stepped on the wrong step. If it was someone else, they would definitely be scared off by the extreme pain after failing to summon and not suffer the mental backlash of a summoning failure. However, although Yu Yang loved to lie, he still had a slight advantage, and that was his stubbornness and unwillingness to admit defeat. Rumble, 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 rumble. Yu Yang clenched his teeth and persevered with his training. He was determined to master this technique. He realized that learning this summoning technique was similar to learning how to walk or ride a bicycle when he was young. He would always fall, but every time he fell, he would gain a little experience and improve a little. His mind became more and more in sync, and his body and the grimoire resonated more and more. The trembling from the mental backlash also became weaker and weaker. In the end, Yu Yang no longer felt a headache, but a comfortable, trembling feeling. It was as if he had been enlightened, and his entire body had entered an indescribably wonderful spiritual realm. Countless failed experiences had accumulated into a brand new realization. The realm of man and grimoire as one, that he could not comprehend previously, was right in front of him. Finally, after failing countless times, Yi Zichen finally opened his eyes. Yu Yang reached out his hand again. This time, it was different from the previous failed summons. He was full of confidence and lightly tapped. That silver grimoire was finally summoned perfectly in an instant. Success! He really succeeded. However, Yu Yang retreated from the spiritual realm in shock. For a long time, he still could not believe his eyes. Wah, I succeeded. Yu Yang was very excited. He jumped and jumped, feeling extremely proud of himself. He felt that he was a genius. He was too awesome to be able to master such a difficult technique. Little Wenli secretly gave a cute little yawn. Maybe she thought that Yu Yang was an idiot, needing to practice such a simple thing for so long. Fortunately, she could not speak yet. That was why she did not strike Yu Yang down, allowing him to be proud for 3 minutes. Yu Yang fiercely kissed her cute little face, picked her up, and threw her into the air. He caught her and spun her around. Little fellow, teach me the technique to store things into the grimoire. How did you store the dual cold icicle blades into the diamond grimoire? There must be a technique, right? Come, tell me how to do it. How can I store things into this grimoire? Little Wenli blinked her big bright eyes, as if preparing to tell Yu Yang the technique in this area. However, her eyes turned and immediately turned into a rainbow light, floating into his body. Immediately, Yu Yang also felt footsteps coming towards him from outside the house. Is it fifth grandfather? Yu Yang opened the door and saw the deer-riding old man rushing over, happily handing him a package. This is one of your father's belongings. After Brother Hai's suggestion, the 3 great elders and the 9 elders discussed, they decided to give a part of your father's belongings to you for safekeeping. This is your father's battle skill. It might be useful to you, because it needs to be compatible with a special beast, Brother Hai, and I felt that you might not be suitable to train in it. It might be better for you to learn from it. The other thing is your father's blade. It has already been broken. Take a look, you might be able to find some clues. Lastly, the key. Among the belongings given by the 5th grandfather, Yu Yang did not find any key. Where's the key? Yu Yang was curious. Could it be that the key was transparent? Little fellow, do you know what is the biggest difference between the Yu clan's clan master and all the other clan masters in the world? It's fairness. No matter which son or grandson he favors in his heart, he must be fair and let everyone maintain a fair competition. In the past, it wasn't that he didn't want to help you, but the more he helped you, the more people would hate you, and the easier it would be for you to lose your life. It's the same now. You have risen to power. You want to take revenge. You want to repay Yu Tian, Yu Yin, and the others. He won't stop you either. As long as you don't kill Yu Tian and the others, you can enjoy your rights as a ranker. You can mock and even scold them to your heart's content, just like how they mocked and scolded you in the past. The Soaring Dragon Continent is a world where strength is respected. It's the same in the Yu clan. If you're weak, then you should be low-key and stay in White Stone City for the rest of your life. That's the smartest move. On the contrary, if you have strength, then you can run amok like you are now. Little fellow, don't be dissatisfied with reality. This world is full of competition. If you can't even compete with your own people in the clan, how can you compete with outsiders? You must be strong, stronger than anyone else. Only then can you win the clan's attention. Only then can you win the respect of the world. After the 5th grandfather finished speaking, he paused slightly and continued. The key that Brother Hai gave you is just a sentence. A sentence? Yu Yang thought to himself, could it be the password to open the puppet palace? Brother Hai said that when you think that you have the strength of a level 6 elder, you can go and look for him. He will give you the real location of the puppet palace, where the Yu clan's real secrets are stored. When you have the strength of a level 7 overlord, he will give you the map of the gods' ruins explored by the Yu clan's ancestors. At that time, he will tell you that in the world of rankers, there is a super strong existence that the world doesn't know about. Sanner, the road of cultivation has just begun. Don't think that a level 6 elder or a level 7 overlord is the peak. On the contrary, a real ranker, a level 7 overlord, is just the beginning. After the 5th grandfather finished speaking, Yu Yang became silent. The stronger existence that the 5th grandfather was talking about was definitely the innate realm. Then how were the innate realms divided? What was the connection between them and the ranks of the ordinary warriors in the world? What made Yu Yang even more curious was that the real location of the puppet palace that the fifth grandfather mentioned just now, could it be that it was not under the Yu clan castle? Everyone in the soaring dragon continent knew that there was a puppet palace under the Yu clan castle. The reason why the Yu clan was able to prosper for so long was because of the mysterious puppet palace that continuously produced countless puppet beasts. Could it be that the real puppet palace was not here? Don't be anxious, Saner. You don't have to worry about Fourth Mother's safety either. I dare say that as long as you are alive, they will not be harmed at all. The stronger you are, the better their lives will be. The reality of the world is like this. You can't change everyone's views. The only thing you can change is yourself. You can become stronger and make everyone have no choice but to revere you. The fifth grandfather patted Yu Yang's shoulder, turned around, and mounted the deer, laughing loudly as he left. Yu Yang was just about to ponder over the fifth grandfather's words when he suddenly saw the royal swordswoman carrying a giant sword on her back, rushing towards him with clanging sounds. He immediately closed the door. This royal swordswoman was obviously not here to warm his blankets and serve him in bed. It was better not to provoke her. Hey, I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to form a team with you. In the Eagle's Cry Valley of the Gui Jianshou, a group of royal family's explorers disappeared without a reason. The state grandmaster's revelation, inherent skill, had discovered that there was a huge energy reaction there. Let's go and take a look together. If we can find out the situation and obtain treasures, we will split them according to our needs. Hearing the royal swordswoman's words, Yu Yang was stunned. Could it be that the soaring dragon continent had already achieved communism? Splitting them according to their needs was so good. The royal swordswoman saw that Yu Yang was moved and struck while the iron was hot, persuading him, "If we don't obtain any treasures, I can also apply to the treasury to reward you with a water avoidance pearl. This way, you can summon beasts underwater." Water avoidance pearl? Hearing this, Yu Yang immediately jumped up from his bed. No problem. I was born into this world to explore the Eagle's Cry Valley. The royal swordswoman was starting to suspect if she had found the wrong person. Chapter 116. Gui Jianshou was an undulating mountain range that was covered in fog all year round. Sunlight was a luxury here. Not to mention normal people, even the most rampant bandits in the Xia kingdom would not come to this kind of place. Because there were few people here, there were all kinds of precious herbs and minerals in the mountains of Gui Jianshou. There were also many rare beasts that could not be found in other places. Plant-type beasts and insect-type beasts were the most common here. It was said that Gui Jianshou had an extremely terrifying demon insect beast that liked to hunt wyverns for food, the reaper mantis. Of course, this was only a legend. In the past 1,000 years, no one had ever seen signs of the existence of the reaper mantis. This kind of terrifying insect-type beast had probably been extinct for 1,000 years. The royal swordswoman suspected that the royal exploration team might have met some kind of super strong beast like the reaper mantis, and then suffered a sneak attack from the super strong beast, causing the whole team to be annihilated. Be careful. Although wild beasts that are above level 3 would not appear here, because they are all plant-type or insect-type beasts, they usually appear in groups. Furthermore, they have all kinds of negative effects such as weakness, dizziness, poison, hypnosis, parasitism, and so on. You little liar, you better be careful. Don't let the parasitic bees and parasitic spiders grow worms on your body. The royal swordswoman was very curious. This brat had always liked to be talkative. Why did he become mute after teleporting to Gui Jianshou? There are no traces of people walking here. Are you sure that the royal exploration team really went missing here? Yu Yang had a lot of doubts in his heart. In Gui Jianshou's Eagle's Cry Valley, there were strange peaks that pierced the sky on both sides. They were straight down like knives and axes. Iron-clawed rock eagles with wingspans of more than 5 meters lived on top of them. At the bottom of the valley was a terrifying insect valley filled with dense fog. All kinds of insects could be seen everywhere, and the plants also strangely showed extremely bright and dazzling colors. Red, yellow, purple, black, some are mixed with various colors, and some are even glowing. The only thing that didn't have normal green plants was here. Yu Yang searched carefully along the way, but did not find any traces of people walking here. The royal swordswoman also felt that it was strange, but towards Yu Yang's doubt, she glared at him with her tiger-like eyes. Do you think I would lie all day like you? If no one went missing, why would I come here? Something's not right. Yu Yang discovered that on the ugly branch of a strange blood-red plant, there was a crow with blood-red eyes perched on it. What? The royal swordswoman did not understand. Wasn't it just a crow? Let me take a look at the Beast Encyclopedia first. Yu Yang took out a Beast Encyclopedia that was as thick as the Earth's New China Dictionary from his bag, preparing to check the type of crow. The royal swordswoman was sweating profusely. She waved her hand in a daze and said, "Stop flipping. It's such a basic thing, I'll tell you. This is a carrion-eating crow, officially known as the red-eyed iron-winged crow. Its body is twice as big as a normal crow, and its flying speed is 300 kilometers per hour. It is especially good at flying short distances, and it is very intelligent. It can open a bottle with a lid to drink water, and it can also differentiate between 36 different colors and 50 different numbers. Its resistance to poison is 100 to 150 times that of a normal human. Because it has been eating carrion for a long time, its body carries pestilential venom, and any wound that is pecked by it would slowly poison the person. It is a level 2 bird-type flying beast, and it likes to live in small groups. There are 3 subspecies and 2 variants, and they are distributed throughout the entire soaring dragon continent. Third young master, what else do you want to know? Your memory is pretty good." Yu Yang flipped through the book and realized that the swordswoman was not wrong at all. You think there's something wrong with this crow? The royal swordswoman almost fainted when she heard this. These were all the most basic things anyone who had gone to school would know. However, she did not criticize Yu Yang too much. The reason was because this brat had never gone to school before. It's a carrion-eating creature. Why would it follow us? I discovered it when I was 10 kilometers away, and it has been following us secretly. Yu Yang voiced out his doubts. Could it be that it thinks that we will become dead people? The royal swordswoman was very intelligent. She understood immediately. I suspect that it had seen the royal exploration team before and had already eaten their meat. It probably thinks that we will become dead people sooner or later like the royal exploration team. So it has been following us, waiting for us to fall before eating our meat. Yu Yang voiced out his own reasoning. How can you be so sure with just a crow? The royal swordswoman really admired this little liar in her heart. She felt that although Yu Yang's basic knowledge was terrible, his brain was definitely first class. It seemed like she had really found the right person to find him to be her partner. Of course, Yu Yang would not tell this royal swordswoman that his suspicions were one thing, but the most important thing was that he had seen through it with his divine vision. With his divine vision, he could see that there was definitely something wrong with this crow. It was not as simple as an ordinary red-eyed, iron-winged crow. On this red-eyed crow's body, there was an indescribable evil aura. It was different from demonic aura. It was extremely strange. At first, Yu Yang thought that it was the corpse aura that was emitted after eating corpses for a long period of time. However, after careful observation with his divine vision, he discovered that it was not. With his divine vision, he could faintly see that this crow was a bird that someone had used some kind of ability to control from a long distance away. Although it was not a contracted beast, it was still controlled by someone. It was a flying scouting tool, just like the unmanned aircraft on Earth that was equipped with radar. I hope my feeling is wrong. Yu Yang felt that the upcoming battle was inevitable. Controlling an uncontracted crow was not something a normal warrior could do. If you were right, then what kind of person would hide in Gue Jianshou? When the royal swordswoman heard Yu Yang's reply, she was shocked. She could tell that this was the truth. More accurately speaking, this brat's current actions were completely different from before. He was not lying. He was very serious. Could it be that there was really some kind of shady power that was secretly developing here? I believe that we will have an answer to this question very soon. Yu Yang took out a piece of hard rations and pretended to chew on it. That crow immediately soared into the sky and flew high. It was obvious that it knew that in the hands of a warrior, a piece of rations could also be a fatal hidden weapon. However, as Yu Yang continued to chew and drink, it quietly descended and landed on a branch that was further away. It followed Yu Yang from afar. The royal swordswoman's eyes revealed a light of enlightenment. Yu Yang's actions just now were actually a test. If there was no one controlling this crow, then it would not fly high. Normally, crows would pick up the food scraps left behind by humans. They would not be smart enough to fly high into the sky when they saw rations. Once it flew, other than proving that there was someone controlling it from behind, it could also test the second point of doubt. If the owner of this crow could hear the conversation between Yu Yang and the royal swordwoman, then it would not land again. This was because Yu Yang's words just now had already indicated that he had discovered something suspicious. Now that the crow had returned to the branch, it proved that the owner controlling the crow could see every action of Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman, but could not hear their conversation. He also did not know that Yu Yang was preparing to kill the crow. He thought that he was hungry and was preparing to eat some rations to fill his stomach. The royal swordswoman blinked her tiger-like eyes and asked Yu Yang, "What do we do now?" Yu Yang passed the water to her and revealed a bright smile. "I think that if we hug each other and start to do some intimate actions, such as touching, grabbing, and pinching, we might be able to lure this crow to death. However, I would be at a disadvantage if we do that, so I'm against it." When the royal swordswoman heard this, she almost fell to the ground. The two of them hugged each other intimately and had already touched, grabbed, and pinched each other. Was he the one at a disadvantage? "If you dare to touch me, I'll chop off your claws." The royal swordswoman angrily snorted and raised her small fist at him. "Then what if we touch each other?" Yu Yang pounced on the royal swordswoman like a tiger and pushed her to the ground, pressing his whole body on top of her. Without waiting for the royal swordswoman to resist, he hurriedly removed the armor on her body. As he kissed her like raindrops, he tore off his own clothes. That crow suddenly flew closer cautiously. In the end, it flew to a tree branch a few meters away from Yu Yang. It stared fixedly at Yu Yang, who had gone berserk, as if it was extremely curious about his wolfish act of pushing her down. Although the royal swordswoman resisted with all her might, Yu Yang's wolfish hands were extremely fast. He had already taken off a large piece of her breastplate and threw it to one side. In front of her chest, a large piece of snow-white, flawless, delicate jade skin was revealed. The bra that was wrapped around her chest was almost unable to cover the towering, blooming virgin peaks. Yu Yang was so excited that he howled like a wolf. He stretched out his wolfish claws and aimed at those two lumps. "I've caught you." Yu Yang's afterimage disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already on top of a tree branch. He grabbed the panic-stricken red-eyed crow with both hands. His face was smiling, but his eyes were as cold as a demon's. He looked straight into the crow's eyes and said, "Are you curious? Little friend, don't be anxious. When I catch you, we will slowly put on a show in front of you." After Yu Yang finished speaking, he forcefully twisted the red-eyed crow's head off its body. However, before he could boast about the success of his plan, the royal swordswoman had already jumped up and punched him to the ground. The royal swordswoman's tiger-like eyes were filled with anger and a little embarrassment. There were even glistening teardrops that could barely be seen. "You bastard, it's fine if you acted just now, but you really touched me. What did I allow you to touch me? You must have been acting for real, abusing your authority to take advantage of me. Did I touch you just now?" Yu Yang's face was filled with innocence. He looked at his own hands with an expression of disbelief. "Are you a dead man? Don't you feel whether you touched me or not?" The royal swordswoman was furious. This brat had touched me and still didn't want to admit it. Was he still trying to act dumb? Yu Yang saw that the royal swordswoman was extremely angry. Her whole body was trembling, and the small piece of cloth was unable to cover her towering, perfect breasts. It seemed like her breasts were shaking. No, her breasts were trembling. That was the legendary trembling that was one level higher than breasts. It could even cause one's soul to tremble. swallowing a large mouthful of saliva. Unable to suppress his wolfish heart, he reached out his evil hand. I didn't feel it clearly just now. Was this how I touched you just now? The royal swordswoman stared blankly at his wolfish claws that were pressing on her breasts. After a long time, she finally let out a scream that was even more terrifying than a banshee's scream. She didn't even bother to put on her breastplate. She immediately raised her giant sword high above her head and chased after Yu Yang, who was running for his life. This is my instinct. Any man who saw this would do the same thing. Yu Yang defended himself as he ran. When the royal swordswoman heard this, she was even angrier. Killing a big pervert like you is also my instinct. Chapter 117. Pa pa pa. In the sky, a flock of red-eyed crows flapped their wings and flew past. After a while, they flew back and circled around the sky a few times. Some of them landed on the branches and searched carefully, but in the end, they didn't find Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman who were hiding under the leaves of the plants. They flew up one after another and flew in another direction. Ever since Yu Yang killed the first red-eyed crow, within a day and night, the flock of red-eyed crows had flown over Yu Yang's head at least 20 times. It was very obvious that the rancor hiding in the Eagle's Cry Valley was an expert in controlling crows. In order to find Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman, this hidden rancor had controlled at least 200 crows. They took turns to search everywhere, flying over Yu Yang's head again and again. However, they were all confused by Yu Yang's disguise, so there was no result at all. The royal swordswoman had abandoned the armor that covered her entire body. Just like Yu Yang, she was wearing the clothes of a forest scout that was made of leaves. As long as the flock of crows flew over, the two of them would quickly hide in the bushes or crouch down and not move. Then, the red-eyed crows in the sky wouldn't be able to detect their presence. Although the royal swordswoman was still angry at Yu Yang's wolf-like actions, she secretly admired this brat's craftiness in her heart. Using tree branches and leaf to make clothes as a disguise was indeed a good idea. Forget about crows. Even a human wouldn't be able to find them. In a rapidly flowing stream, countless iron-clawed rock eagles let out chaotic cries and scattered in all directions. A flying dragon with a tall, fleshy head carried a black-robed man on its back as it spiraled downwards. Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman hurriedly hid between the crevices of the rocks, quietly observing the black-robed man's movements. He took out a black skull and muttered an incantation. The black skull emitted bursts of black fog, which then condensed into a ball. The black-robed man then threw the ball of black fog onto the ground. The black fog dissipated, and with a crackling sound, strange skeletons were summoned. Some of the skeletons even carried items from when they were alive, such as a tattered glove, a silver chain covered in black blood, a rusty sword. When the royal swordswoman saw this, her face sank. Yu Yang didn't understand what was going on, but she was very clear that she had found her target. These skeletons were the people she was looking for, the royal exploration team. However, they were all dead and had been turned into skeletons by the black-robed man, using the terrifying undead summoning technique. So, the person who caused the royal exploration team to be annihilated and the person who controlled the crows was this necromancer. However, why would a necromancer that could only be found in the demon abyss appear in the soaring dragon continent? How long had this black-robed necromancer been hiding in the Eagle's Cry stream? What was his motive? My undead servants, move out and find those two living people. The black-robed man muttered, his skinny hand summoning balls of green phosphorescence, projecting them onto more than 10 skeletons. These skeletons changed shape, changed color, and became bigger under the green phosphorescence. In less than 10 seconds, they turned from level 1 skeletons to level 2 skeletons. Among them, the leader skeleton that had absorbed a few balls of green phosphorescence had even strengthened into a level 3 iron skeleton. This iron skeleton leader had long bone blades growing out of both of its arms. The royal swordswoman knew that this was the necromancer's soul control technique. As long as there was a living thing nearby, it would be sensed by these skeletons. Her camouflage of branches and leaves had lost its effect. Fortunately, the skeleton's sensing range was limited, only 20 to 30 meters. Now that they were separated by the stream, they would immediately be discovered by these skeletons. She stretched out her hand and lightly drew a circle on Yu Yang's back, indicating that she was ready to launch a surprise attack. The distance was a little difficult, so the success rate of surprise attack was not high. However, she still had to give it a try. Otherwise, once this black-robed man riding on the poison wyvern rose into the sky, she would not be able to do anything to him. She estimated that this black-robed necromancer's strength was around that of a level 6 elder. If the two of them succeeded in their surprise attack, there was a high possibility that they could kill him. The only problem was that this fellow was extremely cautious. The wyvern had landed on a protruding rock. As long as the wyvern jumped up, it would be able to escape into the sky. In a battle in the sky, other than the Bloody Queen, he and the big pervert could only watch with folded arms. It would be slightly difficult for the gold-ranked level 3 Bloody Queen to kill this bronze-ranked level 6 poison wyvern. Furthermore, there was still a necromancer with the strength of a level 6 elder on the poison wyvern's back. Shoo! Yu Yang grabbed the royal swordswoman's small hand. Just as she was about to struggle free, he made a shushing gesture, indicating that there was a situation and that she should not move. The royal swordswoman glared at him with her tiger-like eyes. However, in the end, she still obediently obeyed and did not dare to move. She wanted to pull her small hand back, but Yu Yang pretended that he did not know. He grabbed on her hand and did not let go, seizing the opportunity to take advantage of her. The royal swordswoman really wanted to kick him into the stream, but the black-robed man was still there. If she kicked him out, she would lose the chance to launch a surprise attack, so she could only give up. At first, she still wanted to punch him, but a second later, she completely forgot about it. She anxiously hugged onto Yu Yang's back, her towering breast pressing against him unconsciously, pressing his body lower and lower. This was because, following the direction of Yu Yang's gaze, she discovered that on the precipitous rock wall, there was a terrifying creature that was absolutely still. It did not move at all, and its aura was completely concealed. It stuck to the rock wall like a rock. Its target was the black-robed man and the poison wyvern he was riding on. However, the vigilant black-robed man and the poison wyvern could not sense the existence of this terrifying creature at all. When the poison wyvern flapped its huge wings and carried the black-robed man up slowly, the terrifying creature suddenly moved like lightning. Its two huge, sickle-shaped arms were like two black lightning bolts, cutting through space and capturing the poison wyvern's huge body in its arms. The bronze-ranked level 6 poison wyvern could not even struggle and could only wail in pain. That terrifying creature immediately opened its huge, sharp teeth and started to chew on the poison wyvern's head. It did not kill it first, but directly ate its prey alive. The poison wyvern's blood-curdling screams resounded throughout the whole valley. At this moment, the whole valley was dead silent. All the creatures were so scared that they did not know where to hide. While the terrifying creature was eating the poison wyvern alive, the black-robed man was struggling. His body was also captured by the terrifying creature's huge arms, and he could not break free no matter how hard he struggled. When the terrifying creature saw that the little worm that it had captured was actually struggling, it immediately stretched its head out to bite the black-robed man's head. The black-robed man's movements were extremely fast. He immediately took out a teleportation orb and crushed it with his skinny black hand. The teleportation light pillar flashed in a second. However, the moment he teleported away, the terrifying creature became angry. It raised one of its sickle-like arms and swung it. Ha! The lower half of the black-robed man who was teleporting was actually chopped off by the terrifying creature in the teleportation space. The teleportation light pillar was also shattered, and half of his body fell to the ground with a paw sound. If he did not escape fast enough, this level 6 elder black-robed man would probably be killed instantly. Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman felt their scalps tingle. This terrifying creature was actually the legendary gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis that was already extinct. Furthermore, it was a Gold King beast. The guy from another world was sweating profusely and shouted in his heart, "Oh my God!" Who said that the Reaper Mantis was already extinct? There was one right in front of their eyes. Its body was a few times bigger than a wyvern and was practically bigger than a fighter jet. Such a terrifying creature actually existed in the soaring dragon continent. Luckily, it did not fly out of Gue Jianchou. Otherwise, everyone would have been eaten by it. That bronze-ranked level 6 poison wyvern did not even have the time to struggle, as it was devoured by the Reaper Mantis. Meeting its natural enemy, this poison wyvern was really unlucky. After the Reaper Mantis ate the poison wyvern's head, it suddenly threw the wyvern's huge corpse away. With a flap of its wings, it instantly soared into the sky and disappeared without a trace. If the wyvern's corpse had not fallen to the ground in front of them, Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman would have suspected that the Reaper Mantis had actually appeared before. Looks like it really likes to eat the wyvern's magic crystal. Yu Yang secretly thought that it was a close shave. Luckily, he had handed the wyvern's magic crystal to Yu Bing for safekeeping before he appeared. Otherwise, the poison wyvern would not be the only one that was ambushed by the Reaper Mantis. It's a female mantis. I wonder if it has laid eggs. If we can find the egg sheath, then we can definitely find the Reaper Mantis larva. The royal swordswoman was a little moved. The larva of the Reaper Mantis was a gold-ranked beast. Its future growth was limitless. Hearing this, Yu Yang jumped in fright and hurriedly waved his hands. "If you want to die, go ahead, don't drag me down with you. I haven't enjoyed my blissful sexual life yet." "You coward." The royal swordswoman was annoyed. He was just saying it casually. Did he really think that there was a Reaper Mantis larva waiting for him? I think that the wisest thing to do now is to get rid of that black-robed man. Yu Yang had always been used to bullying the weak. Even a persimmon would only bully the weak. But he has already escaped. How are we going to find him? Who knows where the hell he is hiding? The royal swordswoman now felt that it was a little dangerous to walk around the Eagle's Cry Valley. After all, there was a gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis lying in ambush somewhere, ready to launch a sneak attack at any time. This kind of feeling was too creepy. "Look!" Yu Yang pointed at the skeletons that were currently dragging the black-robed man's broken lower body, as well as the gigantic wyvern's corpse. "That fellow will still rush back? All right, we'll do as you say this time. We'll wait." The royal swordswoman felt that the necromancer was really unlucky. First, he was ambushed by the Reaper Mantis, causing a bronze-ranked level 6 poison wyvern to die. Now, he was about to be ambushed by her and the big pervert together. Under these two attacks, it would be hard for this fellow to not die even if he wanted to. Although the royal swordswoman was still extremely angry at Yu Yang, she had no choice but to stick close to him. The two of them stuck close to each other, their bodies leaning against each other. In order for the ambush to succeed, the two of them quietly hid in the crevices of the rocks. Towards Yu Yang's wolfish expression that he was secretly enjoying, the royal swordswoman was extremely angry. In the end, she was afraid that she would not be able to control herself and beat him up, affecting the ambush, so she could only pretend that she did not see it. Just like that, the two of them did not move at all, waiting for the heavily injured black-robed man to return to the stream. After about half an hour, a man in a gray robe stood on the back of a gigantic iron-winged crow king, accompanying the black-robed man, who only had half of his body left, back to the sky above the stream. That black-robed man scolded angrily. "I'm really too unlucky. It wasn't easy for me to get this new body of mine. I didn't think that in less than half a month, it would be chopped into two by the Reaper Mantis. I reckon that without a year's time, I won't be able to recover to my original state. Didn't Master Suagu say that the Gue Jian Cho didn't have a Reaper Mantis? Damn it, if I didn't run fast, I reckon that I would have ended up like my wyvern, having my head bitten off while I was still alive. Lu Dun, do me a favor and reattach my body." The man in gray laughed weirdly and said, "You're unlucky. I've lived in this Gui Jian show for close to 10 years, but I've never met a Reaper Mantis. I reckon that it's your wyvern's fault. Who asked you to be so smug that you had to contract a wyvern as your mount? Yeah, why is there another Gold King beast? What Gold King beast? The black-robed man still had lingering fears. When he heard it, he was so scared that his whole body trembled. Don't be afraid. That's my bloody queen. I guarantee that she doesn't like to eat human heads, especially dead people's heads. Yu Yang's figure appeared behind the black-robed man. His smile was as bright as the sun. Of course, in the eyes of the black-robed man, it was more like a demon's smile. Chapter 118. Seeing the heavenly swordswoman rushing over with her great sword, the gray-robed man laughed weirdly at the black-robed man. I'll deal with this little girl. My beast just happens to be able to restrain strengthening-type warriors. He held a strange purplish-black magic ball and flew towards the royal swordswoman. Just as the royal swordswoman's giant sword was about to slash down, a purplish-black light shone brightly and expanded into a circle. Both he and the royal swordswoman disappeared at the same time. Yu Yang was stunned. There is actually this kind of one-on-one battle to the death in the soaring dragon continent, instead of in the demon abyss. It seemed that the demon abyss's research on space was much more advanced than the soaring dragon continent. No wonder the teleportation orb in the demon abyss could be used so quickly. The black-robed man looked at it and scolded loudly. Damn you, Lu Dun. You go crazy the moment you see a woman. You're obviously useless, but you still like to collect women's corpses. What a perverted hobby. Do you think that without your help, I can't deal with a brat who's still wet behind his ears? May I ask how you're going to deal with me? Yu Yang asked curiously. He couldn't understand how a necromancer who had lost half of his body and was rotting could defeat him, who had a gold-ranked level 3 bloody queen. The black-robed man ignored Yu Yang and quickly summoned his grimoire. Looking at this high-leveled silver grimoire, Yu Yang was a little moved. It seemed that he would have a silver grimoire later on. If he could contract all of them, he would be able to sweep across the world with just his guardian beasts alone. As Yu Yang was fantasizing in his heart, he suddenly saw the black-robed necromancer pressing his skinny black hand on the grimoire. Following the spread of black light, a rotten and stinky headless horseman was summoned. Yu Yang observed with his divine vision and discovered that this headless horseman was a bronze-ranked level 5 necromancer beast. The headless horseman did not immediately attack Yu Yang. Instead, he rode on the similarly decaying skeleton horse and headed straight for the level 2 white skeletons. Raising the black great sword high, the headless knight swung it down heavily, shattering the white skeletons. Then he stretched out his hands and condensed the dark green energy balls that emerged from the shattered white skeleton's remains, stuffing them into his broken body. Finally, he took off the iron skeleton's skull and placed it on his own neck. The skull emitted a dark green flame and then disappeared. Energy burned in the eye sockets of the skeleton. In the blink of an eye, it transformed from a headless horseman into a dark green death knight, and its strength increased exponentially. The huge black sword from before burned with the phosphorescence of a corpse and rose into the air. The Death Knight's level also rose from its original bronze-ranked level 5 to bronze-ranked level 6. Yu Yang clapped his hands and praised. Not bad. Although this method is a little strange, it's very effective. Looks like the Demon Abyss's research on summoning techniques is indeed more advanced. Humans are a little behind. You still dare to be arrogant when you're at death's door? The black-robed man summoned a 10-meter-long black centipede. This was not a skeleton beast, nor was it a zombie beast like the Headless Horseman. It was a living creature. It was the black-robed man's guardian beast. Similarly, this gigantic iron pincer centipede was also a bronze-ranked level 6 beast. Right now, 2 strong bronze-ranked level 6 beasts had joined forces to fight against the gold-ranked level 3 Bloody Queen in the sky. Both of them were not inferior in terms of strength. However, the Bloody Queen's expression was a little disdainful, but she did not attack. She flew low in the sky, mainly circling behind Yang. The dragon-slaying dagger was inserted into the silver belt on her waist, and she held Yu Yang's crescent blade in her right hand, waiting for an opportunity to attack. Her Gold King beast had a suppressive force, but against a beast that was of a higher level, the effect was not obvious. Furthermore, the Death Knight was an undead, so the effect was reduced, and the deterrence effect was even more negligible. As for the Iron Pincer Centipede, it was a guardian beast. Under the command of the Black-Robed Man, it was full of fighting spirit and continuously crawled on the stone surface. Its sharp legs were like dozens of shining coal knives. As for its two gigantic iron pincers that were even bigger than its head, as long as it slightly touched the stone would be smashed into pieces by the centipede. The Bloody Queen did not have much of a deterrence effect on them, but it was still a Gold King beast. Even if it was 3 levels lower, the Death Knight and the centipede would not dare to attack easily. The Black-Robed Man looked arrogant on the surface, but in reality, he was extremely vigilant. Previously, he was ambushed by the Reaper Mantis and almost lost his life. Now, he was ambushed by this human brat. If he still did not become vigilant, then he would be an idiot. Do you have a Lich Ring? Yu Yang did not order the Bloody Queen to attack immediately. Instead, he kept looking at the Black-Robed Man's hands. The Lich Ring was the treasure that Yu Yang cared about the most among all the treasures in the world. The reason was simple, because the Lich Ring was the same as a storage ring. It had a dimensional storage space. The only difference was that a storage ring could store any item, including living creatures, while a Lich Ring could not. It could only store items or lifeless corpses. A storage ring was a holy ranked treasure. Even the Xia Emperor Jun Wu did not have one, so Yu Yang could forget about it for the time being. However, he might be interested in the Lich Ring. Not only did Yu Yang have a crush on beauties, he also had a crush on treasures. He really liked those dimensional storage items, such as the Cosmos Sack and the Summer Mustard Seed. Unfortunately, although he had robbed the old Taoist priest Cosmos Sack, it had disappeared after he transmigrated. If the Flying Sword had become the Heavenly Sword Goddess, then what about the Cosmos Sack? Yu Yang guessed that the Cosmos Sack might have been temporarily kept by the Heavenly Sword Goddess, or that the mysterious dream world that he had entered was inside the Cosmos Sack. The current Yu Yang had no way of finding out the whereabouts of the Heavenly Sword Goddess's Cosmos Sack. However, his dream of having a storage ring had never been fulfilled. A storage ring was an essential equipment for traveling, killing, and arson, hunting monsters, and hunting for treasures. How could he not have one? If he really did not have one, he would at least need a Lich Ring. The Lich Ring was actually the lowest and most trashy storage ring. Although the storage space of a Lich Ring was not big, and it could only store non-living things, there was no such treasure in the Soaring Dragon Continent. The main reason was that there were too few special type beasts that could create special items in the Soaring Dragon Continent. Furthermore, with the humans' intelligence, it was even more impossible for them to create a storage ring. For a clan like the Yu clan, being able to create a few puppet beasts was already considered a great achievement. They had become one of the 4 great clans in the world. However, in the entire Yu clan, other than the ghost genius Yu Gong from a few hundred years ago, no one could understand the principles behind a storage ring. Although the ghost genius Yu Gong had left behind his research, no one could understand it. Comparing the difficulty of creating a puppet beast and a holy rank storage ring, the difference was like heaven and earth. They could not be compared at all. It was already extremely difficult for humans to create teleportation scrolls, not to mention dimensional storage. That kind of technique was extremely difficult. No one in the world could compare to it. Hence, there were no storage rings in the Soaring Dragon Continent. Even the trashy Lich Ring was not sold. The Lich Ring had always been a special treasure in the Demon Abyss. If people wanted to obtain it, they had to kill a Lich first and snatch the Lich Ring from the Lich's hands. This was because a Lich that contracted with an undead-type beast would need to store a lot of materials, such as giant dragon's bones, human skeletons, corpses, magic crystals, and so on. A Lich must have a Lich Ring to solve these urgent needs. Hence, normally, a Lich would have a Lich Ring. No. The Black-Robed Man laughed coldly. This brat must have thought that a Lich Ring was just a random commodity that could be found at the roadside stalls. How could it be so easy to obtain? Then you can die now, Yu Yang smiled slightly. A second ago, he was still smiling, but in the next second, he had turned into a terrifying killing god. Yu Yang's figure disappeared, leaving a blurry afterimage in the air as he pounced towards the giant pincer centipede. In the sky, the Bloody Queen also flapped her wings and flew up, preparing to attack the giant pincer centipede together with Yu Yang. The black-robed necromancer laughed coldly in his heart. "I've been waiting for you." He ordered the giant pincer centipede to jump up high and fiercely receive the attack. The giant pincer centipede's outer shell was extremely hard, so it was not afraid of knives or axes. Even if it did not resist and let this brat hit it, he would not be able to hurt it. Most importantly, his giant pincer centipede was a guardian beast. Even if it was killed, it could be summoned again. It was not afraid of attacks at all. Pooh! The Death Knight that was charging over to support suddenly had a blade sticking out of its chest. It and the skeleton horse it was riding on started to tremble crazily. Countless black gas and green phosphorescent flames spurted out from the wound. The black-robed man was shocked. When he looked carefully, he realized that it was only an illusion that was charging towards the giant pincer centipede. The brat who was laughing like a demon had actually appeared behind the Death Knight. He was using a crescent-shaped magic blade to pierce the Death Knight's demon heart. The Death Knight, that was made from the corpse of a demon general, was not afraid of physical attacks at all. Its only weakness was the demon heart that was purposely placed on the right side of its chest. Other than himself, no one else knew this secret. How'd this brat know? The Huijin magic blade in Yu Yang's hands was like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey, crazily absorbing the energy within the Death Knight's demon heart. No matter if it was the molten flame core or the demon dragon's crystal, they were both absorbing the demon heart's energy to recover their previous losses. Other than a small amount of corpse gas, the Huijin magic blade did not reject any other energy. The Death Knight struggled with all its might, but its struggle was futile. Bang! Its head exploded, and the energy on its body was greatly reduced. In the end, the bronze-ranked level 6 Death Knight fell back to bronze-ranked level 5 Headless Knight. Then, due to the continuous loss of energy, it fell back to bronze-ranked level 4, bronze-ranked level 3, normal-ranked level 4, normal-ranked level 3. When the Huiji Magic Blade finished absorbing its energy, the originally majestic Death Knight had turned into a pile of rotten flesh and bones, falling apart with a crash. Even the skeletal horse it was riding on had turned into a pile of rotten flesh and bones. The black-robed necromancer was dumbstruck. Never in his dreams would he have thought that this human brat who killed people with a smile would actually possess such a terrifying magic weapon. This magic weapon definitely had a life of its own. This magic weapon should be the treasure of life that he had been dreaming of. If he could use it to make a bone box, he would be able to level up to become an immortal lich. Under the black-robed man's jealous and greedy gaze, the Huijin magic blade flashed with a wave of black smoke and purple flames, burning ceaselessly. It automatically started to change shape extremely slowly, evolving into a more perfect form. The molten flame core and the demon dragon's crystal on both sides started to fuse together. The blade's entire body was covered with vein-like veins and veins. Dragon, fang-like bone spikes grew out from the back of the blade, while the tip of the blade was burning with energy flames. The silver-ranked Huijin magic blade, after absorbing the Death Knight's demon heart's energy, had successfully evolved into a gold-ranked magic weapon. Yu Yang lifted it up and activated his innate chi. Once he activated the energy on the blade, the black smoke and purple flames immediately increased crazily, as if it was going to burn the sky. Those energy flames formed a flame-type armor on Yu Yang's arm. Other than increasing his defense, it also greatly increased the strength of his arm. This is impossible. The black-robed necromancer was so jealous that he was going crazy. How could this brat be so lucky? Not only did he have a gold-ranked level 3 Bloody Queen, he also had this kind of magic weapon that could absorb energy automatically. Kill him. Kill him. I must definitely kill him. I must definitely snatch this magic weapon and refine it into an immortal bone box. The black-robed necromancer, whose heart was filled with greed, suddenly heard a blood-curdling scream. He turned his head and saw that his giant pincer centipede's head was nailed by a dagger and it was rolling around in pain. Immediately after, it turned into a ray of black light and returned to the silver grimoire. If it wasn't a guardian beast, it would definitely be dead. This was because the dagger that nailed it was the dragon-slaying dagger. Even if a giant dragon was hit by it, it would be heavily injured. Where did this dragon-slaying dagger come from? The black-robed necromancer didn't even have time to understand when he felt a sharp pain on his back. His entire body flew out uncontrollably and landed heavily on the ground. In the sky, a foot landed, covering the entire sky. Yu Yang stepped on the black-robed necromancer, but he didn't immediately kill him. Instead, he looked at the empty space in the distance and said with a smile, "I guess you must be Master Sago? I think you've seen enough. Why don't you come down and save your subordinates? Although your invisibility ability is not bad, please pay attention to the flow of the air. Next time, don't stand in the wind, otherwise others would easily smell the corpse smell on your body. What I'm saying is, if you can survive next time, you might as well learn this lesson. Your mouth is quite powerful, but if you think that I'm the same as Reuben under your feet, then you're gravely mistaken." An old and arrogant voice came from the transparent air. A few hissing sounds could be heard, as if some kind of barrier had been removed from the sky. What appeared in front of Yu Yang was a silver-ranked level 7 zombie dragon. Its tattered wings, corroded body, and dull eyes couldn't hide the fact that it was once a giant dragon. Although the giant dragon was dead, its prestige still remained. Even if it had become a zombie, its level was still silver-ranked level 7. On the zombie dragon's back was an old man with a face full of wrinkles. He wore a purplish-black robe and held a flashing red skull staff. He looked down at Yu Yang arrogantly. "Although you could defeat Reuben, in my eyes, you're just a small worm. I'm a lich who has cultivated for 500 years. As long as I raise my hand, I can squash you like a bug. What does Reuben count for? He's just my undead slave, a breathing human tool. Do you think you can use him to threaten me? I've never thought of using him to threaten you. I only intend to keep him and slowly interrogate him for the knowledge I need." Yu Yang coldly chopped off the skull of the black-robed necromancer Lu Gu with his magic blade. Then, he kicked Lu Ji's skull tens of meters away. "You overestimate yourself. You want to fight against me? You'll soon understand what it means to be a mantis try to stop a chariot." Lich Sugu arrogantly snorted. "No, it's the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind." Yu Yang laughed, because there was a shadow that was faster than lightning pouncing down from the sky. Its arms were like the scythes of the Grim Reaper. It was the Reaper mantis that had been hiding in the dark. Maybe its original target was Yu Yang, but now its target had changed to the zombie dragon. The afterimage of Yu Yang standing on the ground had disappeared. When Lich Suoga used his powerful senses to search for him, he discovered that Yu Yang had already appeared below him. Yu Yang was approaching him at the speed of the Reaper mantis. In his hands, there was also a magic blade that was burning with purple flames. Its killing power was comparable to the Reaper mantis size. Chapter 119. Lich Suogo was not like the black-robed Reuben, who did not react to the Reaper mantis attack. He did not panic either. Instead, he calmly closed his eyes, stretched out his hand, and calmly summoned his gold grimoire. A protective shield rose up, blocking the fatal blow above his head. However, the zombie dragon under him was not so lucky. Yu Yang's Huiji magic blade had already fiercely slashed at the dragon's abdomen, which was not protected by the protective shield. It cut open the dragon's skin, which had become more brittle after being corroded by the zombie poison for a long time, in the sky. The Reaper mantis's scythe was terrifyingly powerful, causing the protective shield to slightly cave in. However, the gold-rank protective shield's defense was still stronger, so it could not do anything. In the instant that the scythe was deflected by the protective shield, the Reaper mantis launched its second attack. With a sweep of its arm, the zombie dragon's gigantic body was forcefully sent flying. The zombie dragon's body formed a parabola and smashed into the mountain wall far away. It then fell down and heavily smashed onto the ground, making a loud rumbling sound. The Reaper Mantis was extremely fast. With a flap of its wings, it had already caught up. It used its scythe to clamp the zombie dragon's long tail tightly and flung it repeatedly, smashing it onto the ground. Up until now, the zombie dragon had not had the time to react. After becoming a zombie, its movements and reactions were no longer as agile as before. It had become relatively sluggish. As the zombie dragon struggled to get up, the Reaper Mantis had already opened its huge mouth and viciously bit down, aiming for the zombie dragon's head. What a good gold locust, daring to prey on my mount. You are simply overestimating yourself. Lich saw Gus sneered and summoned an ice ball from his grimoire. That ice ball seemed to have a life of its own as it flew by itself at the speed of a meteor, hitting the Reaper Mantis's back. Once it came into contact with the Reaper Mantis, its body immediately started to freeze. In the instant that the Reaper Mantis bit the zombie dragon's head, the white ice had already spread to its entire body. The Reaper Mantis was completely frozen into an ice sculpture. The zombie dragon immediately counterattacked, biting the Reaper Mantis that was like an ice sculpture and smashing it onto the ground. Then it used its huge tail to sweep. Boom! The Reaper Mantis was sent flying into the sky and crashed into the mountain wall. Broken rocks and ice shards flew everywhere. The Reaper Mantis, who had broken free from the ice, hooked its scythe-like arms and swept the zombie dragon away. It then flapped its wings and shook off the remaining ice shards on its body with all its might. Yeon was a little curious. The Reaper Mantis was a gold-ranked level 7 Gold King beast. Why would it be afraid of ice? Soon after, he came to a sudden realization. It must be because there was a baby in its stomach. A relatively fragile insect egg might not be able to withstand the change in temperature. And it was precisely because of this that the female Reaper Mantis would crazily pounce on the venom wyvern and the zombie dragon, devouring their dragon crystals as nutrients for the hatching of its future babies. Lich Suagu once again summoned a bronze-ranked, level 7 demonic abyss demon guard that was covered in raging flames and wielded an axe. He ordered this bronze-ranked, level 7 demonic abyss demon to attack Yeon. The Bloody Queen held the crescent blade in her right hand and the gold-ranked dragon slaying dagger in her left. She swept past the axe-wielding blood-winged demon guard's back at extremely fast speed. She had originally wanted to attack the axe-wielding blood-winged demon guard's wings, but she did not expect the demon guard's reaction speed to be so fast. It flapped its wings and flew in midair, swinging its giant axe that was burning with raging flames in its hands, forcing the Bloody Queen to retreat. Yu Yang ignored the demon guard. He was more concerned about the battle on the ground. He discovered that the ice ball could actually fuse with the zombie dragon, evolving into a silver-ranked level 8 undead type giant frost dragon. Not good. Yu Yang immediately let out a long howl and pounced towards the evolving giant frost dragon. He must not let it evolve successfully, otherwise it would be dangerous. The undead-type beasts of the Demon Abyss had an ability that other types of beasts did not have. That was undead recombination, fusion, and evolution. This was indeed a type of summoning technique that gave people a headache. No wonder City Mistress Fallen Flowers had said before that the scariest thing in the Demon Abyss was not the demons, but the undead. These summoning techniques that disregarded race and physical limitations, as long as their owners could find a secret method to fuse with them, they could temporarily fuse into one and evolve into a higher-level undead beast. It really made people go crazy. Previously, the Headless Horseman and the Iron Skeleton recombined to become a Death Knight. Now, it was an even more powerful undead recombination. The zombie dragon and the ice ball had combined to become a giant frost dragon. The Reaper Mantis pounced forward, its sides tightening around the evolving giant frost dragon. It was prepared to use its terrifying strength to tear its opponent's body into two. However, under Lich Suaji's control, the giant frost dragon immediately counterattacked the Reaper Mantis' current weakness: its bulging stomach. If it was a normal day, this kind of attack might be useless. However, as a mother-to-be, the Reaper Mantis was obviously not like usual. Furthermore, it was extremely afraid that the baby in its stomach would be hurt, so it gave up on attacking and jumped backwards. In the sky, the second ice ball silently, sneakily attacked. Yu Yang's reaction was extremely fast. He waved his Hui Jin magic blade to block the ice ball, but his Hui Jin magic blade did not have any effect on the ice ball. The ice ball was completely fine and immediately recovered to its original state. It shot straight down and hit the Reaper Mantis's back like a meteor. Another wave of ice enveloped its whole body. The giant frost dragon also stopped biting and attacking. Under Lich Suo-Ji's control, it continuously spat out freezing air towards the Reaper Mantis's ice sculpture, solidifying the ice. The Reaper Mantis waved its arms wildly, and the ice on its body quickly melted and splashed. However, on its bulging stomach, there was a huge lump of ice that bulged out like a small hill. At the same time, it was still growing bigger. Dark night descends. Lich Suogu summoned a black shadow and pointed his finger at the shadow's head. The shadow's body exploded into pieces and disappeared, turning into a black fog that enveloped the whole valley. The whole valley was like a pitch-black night. One could not even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. If a mere Lich is already so powerful, then wouldn't the Lich King be even more powerful? Yu Yang was sweating profusely. It turned out that the Lich already had the strength of a level 7 overlord. Yu Yang felt that this Lich Suogu was even more of a headache than Elder Yuhai. Fortunately, Lich Suogu only summoned beasts, and not strengthening-type beasts like Elder Yuhai. Otherwise, he wouldn't even need to fight anymore. The Lich was already so powerful. As for how strong that Lich King run would be, Yu Yang really couldn't imagine it all. Of course, summoning-type beasts were also powerful, but their main bodies were far from being comparable to strengthening-type beasts. Yu Yang still had his innate invisible sword chi, so he still had a chance to fight. He wouldn't be a bystander in this battle. If he didn't have a gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis, Yu Yang felt that he would probably be beaten miserably by Lich Suogu. However, right now, he didn't care about himself at all. The more the enemy looked down on him, the more chances he had. Indeed, in Lich Suo-Ji's eyes, as long as he could kill the gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis, he would be able to kill this little human boy in an instant. The Reaper Mantis realized that the enemy was attacking its stomach from all directions. The eggs inside were crackling, as if they had already shattered from the ice. As a mother, it immediately unleashed its strongest battle power. Dragging the ice that was as heavy as a small mountain, it crawled quickly. Before the giant frost dragon could fly up, it used its scythe arm to drag it down. Its other scythe arm wrapped around the giant frost dragon's neck, causing the giant frost dragon's neck to creak as if it was about to break. It lowered its huge mouth and bit the giant frost dragon's neck in a frenzy. Lich Suogu was going crazy, but the silver-ranked level 8 giant frost dragon was not a match for the Reaper Mantis, a Gold King beast. With the power of its scythe arm and the Reaper Mantis' innate killing skills, the giant frost dragon was unable to break free and could only struggle with all its might. The axe-wielding, blood-winged demon guard in the sky had actually been chasing after the Bloody Queen, who had been avoiding the battle. Now, it had no choice but to be summoned back by Lich Suogu. Lich Suogu ordered it to join the ranks of attacking the Reaper Mantis and kill it. At the very least, it had to stop it from attacking the giant frost dragon. However, Yu Yang would not let Suogu do as he wished. He had been accumulating his spiritual energy and waiting for an opportunity to attack for too long. A giant shadow with 100-fold increase in strength flashed on Yu Yang's body. In the next second, Yu Yang had already soared into the sky and crashed into the blazing bosom of the axe-wielding, blood-winged demon guard. Clasping his hands together like a sword, he stabbed towards the space between the axe-wielding, blood-winged demon guard's eyebrows. This fellow's weakness was between the eyebrows and not its heart. Lich Suogu did not care at first. He prepared to control the axe-wielding, blood-winged demon guard to use its fire shield explosion skill to blast this brat away. Unexpectedly, he was shocked to find that he had completely lost control of his summoned beast. The axe-wielding blood-winged demon guard was like a piece of wood that was frozen in the air, not moving an inch. Yu Yang's finger deeply pierced into the space between the axe-wielding blood-winged demon guard's eyebrows. His innate sword chi burst out from the back of the blood-winged demon guard's head, spurting out a large amount of blood and brain matter. His sneak attack had succeeded. Yu Yang grabbed the heavily injured blood-winged demon guard's burning body and tore off one of its wings. He then threw it high up into the sky, handing it over to the Bloody Queen to finish off. Like a bolt of lightning, Yu Yang flipped down. With a speed that Lich Suo-ji's naked eyes could not see clearly, he flew towards the giant frost dragon's gigantic head. The second wave of innate sword chi exploded. After opening a hole in the incomparably hard dragon's head, Yu Yang stuffed the impatient golden beast into the small hole. The demonized dragon crystal inside the dragon's head was left for it to deal with. Right now, he could not care about the dragon crystal. Yu Yang had to kill the second ice ball. Otherwise, he would not be able to bite the lich who was protected by the gold grimoire's protective shield. The ice ball that had been ferociously attacking the Reaper Mantis's stomach jumped up and turned towards Yu Yang's body. In an instant, his entire body was sealed in ice, turning into an ice sculpture. Thunderbolt strike. Lich Suoga no longer dared to look down on this young human brat, Yu Yang. He realized that this brat might be a legendary innate ranker. It was just that he was still too young, which was why he was doubtful. Lich Suogu summoned a golden armored puppet that was holding a hammer. He ordered it to fiercely swing the hammer towards the frozen Yu Yang. A loud bang resounded. The frozen Yu Bing was sent flying. Yu Yang's body was sent flying tens of meters away, smashing into a large blood-red tree. The blood-red tree fell with a loud bang, sending up a cloud of dust. That was close. Lich Suogu secretly wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Fortunately, his demon crystal ice ball was strong enough to freeze this brat. Otherwise, he would have been in danger. This brat's finger wind could actually kill a bronze-ranked level 7 blood-winged demon guard in an instant. No one would believe this, but it was a terrifying fact. Fortunately, the hammer had killed him in an instant. Otherwise, if the battle had continued, it would have been hard to say how the battle would have ended. Pooey. Suddenly, the large tree rumbled and a shadow walked out with large strides. He disdainfully spat out a mouthful of blood. You want to kill me with just brute force? Stupid. Lich Suogu realized that this brat was actually not dead. Only his clothes were torn. His upper body was naked and covered with snow powder and mud. His pants were also torn like a beggar's. However, other than spitting out a mouthful of blood, he did not seem to be injured at all. Yu Yang had indeed been beaten. However, in his dreams, he had been beaten up by the big, lowly many times, so he had already learned the best dodging skills. Other than the big lowly's terrifying strength, her techniques were also far superior to Yu Yang's. In addition, Yu Yang had always been practicing the wolf-pecking chess technique. Hence, he was often beaten up by her until fallen flowers flowed like water. Now that he had been smashed by the hammer-wielding golden-armored puppet, he realized that its strength was only slightly stronger than the big lowly's. However, its techniques were the clumsiest and most direct attacks. It was not a spiraling force or a reverberating force, so it could not hurt him at all. Breaking it was exceptionally easy. As long as he continuously spiraled in the air and released his innate chi, he would be able to disperse the force of the smash. This is impossible. Lich Suogu could not believe his own eyes. There's nothing strange about it, other than dispersing most of the force. I had also transferred the remaining force to my summoned beast. If I could still be injured like this, then I would have to be made of tofu. Yu Yang smiled slightly. Behind him, the barbarian cow shadow walked out. The barbarian cow shadow's breastplate had a few cracks from the impact. That was the result of Yu Yang transferring a small portion of the force to her body. She did not know how to disperse the force, and, as a result, her body was smashed into a big tree. Yu Yang landed safely on the ground, but the mud and dust were too big, covering his figure. "Where's my demon crystal ice spirit orb?" Lich Suogu remembered that even if this brat did not die, he should at least be an ice sculpture. "Thank you for your generosity. I'll accept this gift." Yu Yang smiled as he raised his right hand. In his palm, there was an ice-cold magic crystal. This was what he had seized from the ice spirit orb. He had used his innate chi to disperse the demon spirit on the ice crystal, turning the tough ice spirit orb into a harmless, high-quality magic crystal. Of course, Yu Yang would not let that hammer hit him in vain. The demon crystal ice spirit orb that had pounced on his body had allowed him to seize the magic crystal and die instantly. At the same time that he killed the enemy's beast, he would also obtain a high-quality magic crystal. This was Yu Yang's ideal battle. Lich Suogu felt that things were not going well. Once he summoned Darkness Descends, all of his undead beast battle power would increase by different degrees. However, the teleportation orb would not be able to take effect because the area of darkness was considered to be within the body of a special type summoned beast. Now, he had miscalculated this move. His beast had suffered heavy casualties, but this brat in front of him was not injured at all. He seemed to be a rancor that was close to the level of an innate. If he was not careful, he would be easily killed. He had to think of a way, otherwise he would be in danger. Right now, Lich Suogu no longer thought that Yu Yang was a human insect that could be killed in an instant. Right now, he felt that he had bumped into an iron plate. Yu Yang was still a little hesitant. Would Lich Suogu run away? Should he immediately attack the giant frost dragon and seize its dragon crystal? Or should he attack the golden armored puppet and seize its magic crystal? If this Lich wanted to run away, then he would definitely not be able to do anything to him. He had to quickly find a target. Just when Yu Yang was hesitating, little Wenli suddenly appeared on her own accord. When she appeared, Yu Yang was immediately overjoyed. What did this mean? It meant that this Lich was unable to run away, so she was prepared to come out and help him kill this powerful Lich Suogu. "How many beasts do you actually have?" Lich Suogu was about to faint. Other than a gold-ranked level 3 Bloody Queen, a bronze-ranked level 5 Barbarian Cow Lady, a strange golden armored puppet, and now he could even summon a 6-armed snake demon Loli. This brat's grimoire was only a silver-ranked grimoire, and he was only a high-level apprentice. How could he possibly summon so many beasts? "Before you die, I will consider telling you." Yu Yang waved his hand and shouted like a bandit, "Go, all of you go. If there are treasures, snatch treasures. If there are magic crystals, snatch them. In short, burn them all, kill them all, and snatch them all. We are going to implement the 3-all policy." Chapter 120. There's no other way. Looks like I can only summon my guardian beast. I really don't want to do that. Lich Suogu sighed. His tone was filled with regret and unwillingness, as if he was watching his spoils of war being snatched away. Lich Suogu summoned a monster that looked like a mountain of flesh. It was huge, and its entire body was covered with incomparably ugly flesh thorns. At the top, there was a face that looked like a human's face, but it was extremely evil. It was so ugly that it made people feel nauseous. At the top, there were 2 snail-like tentacles that continuously extended and retracted. When it appeared, it immediately vomited out green acid and a few human skeletons. Its long, bloody tongue circled around its ugly lips. "So, you idiot, you actually gave me such disgusting things to eat. Let me tell you, these humans are not delicious at all. Their flesh is sour. I want beautiful women. Do you understand? Do you know what a beautiful woman is? It tastes sweet and delicious. The bones are crispy, and the grease will fill your entire mouth. That's what a beautiful woman is." Hearing this, Yu Yang frowned. A guardian beast that knew how to speak? A guardian beast that knew how to think? It was completely different from Little Wenli, and also different from the Bloody Queen. This monster's position seemed to be the same as Lich Suogu, or even slightly higher. This monster's level was not very high. It was only bronze-ranked level 6. How could it be so arrogant? There must be something strange. In front of you are 2 Gold King beasts, an innate human, a snake demon child, and a female barbarian cow. These are all your food. What are you dissatisfied with? If you're not satisfied, then go back to your grimoire and sleep. I will summon another beast to fight. Lich Suaji's expression changed slightly, but his tone still had the superiority of a master. Forget it, Suage. If you are not in the most dangerous situation, why would you summon me to fight? The monster mercilessly ridiculed him. Wait a minute, Lich and monster. If you want to flirt, do something, and want to explode each other's chrysanthemums, I don't mind watching. However, I am very busy right now. Oh man, take care of that gold-armored puppet. As for this unbelievably ugly monster, you should just die quickly. Yu Yang felt that there was no need to listen to Lich Suaji's nonsense. Who knew if they were trying to stall for time? What? You dare to call me ugly? How dare you call me a monster? The monster was furious. Why are you angry at a dead person? Sooner or later, he will be in your stomach. Why do you have to make life difficult for a pile of excrement? Lich Suaga advised. I hate it when people call me ugly. I'm a handsome guy, so those who call me Spittoon a monster must die. Sog, tell me, am I Spittoon handsome? My body is the most perfect in the world, and my name is also the most beautiful name in the world. Everything about me is the best in the world. How dare you, a human bug that is like food residue, scold me? I will never forgive you. I will eat you and turn you into feces. The monster was so angry that smoke was coming out of its 7 orifices, and it roared in rage. Yu Yang was shocked to death. It was called a Spittoon? Good fellow, this name was simply a perfect match. That's right, Spittoon. Your name is a good name that I spent close to 10 years thinking of. In order to come up with this name, I racked my brains. You should know this. Lich Suo nodded seriously. As for whether you are a handsome guy or not, I believe that as long as one is not blind, they would be able to tell with a glance. Yu Yang was convinced. He was really convinced. Well said, Sago. In this world, only you know how to appreciate me. Master Spittoon, let me first swallow these infuriating fools. Then I'll talk to you about my food problem. I want to eat beauties, understand? If a handsome guy doesn't have beauties to eat, how can he be considered a handsome guy? The monster shouted arrogantly. You fat scum, you're really useless even if you don't die. Yu Yang listened helplessly. He didn't think that there would be such a beast in this world. He suddenly felt a little sympathy for Suoge. Other people's guardian beasts were extremely obedient, but Suoge had to serve this master Spittoon. It was really tragic. Yu Yang felt that if Suoge could change his guardian beast, he would rather change it to a useless long-eared rabbit. In this world, there was no beast that was worse than this master Spittoon. Hearing this, the monster went crazy. It bounced up into the air and smashed down like a mountain. Yu Yang's figure flashed, disappearing from his original position and appearing on top of the monster's head. With a flash of his Hui-Ji magic blade, a large wound appeared on the monster's head. Yu Yang then did a light somersault and landed on the monster's head. With a heavy kick, the monster's meatball body was sent flying. It's useless. I, Master Spittoon, am an invincible beast in this world. Any attack is useless against me. The monster jumped up from the ground and shouted proudly. The wound on its head that Yu Yang had split open quickly healed and returned to its original state. It was as if it had never been injured in the first place. Lich Sogu also nodded and sneered. No matter if it's blades, spears, swords, halberds, or beast fangs and claws, or the elements of wind, fire, water, earth, they are all unable to harm Spittoon's body in the slightest. It is an unrivaled, gluttonous worm in this world. Any kind of power or beast in front of it would only have one result, and that is to be devoured. Yu Yang frowned when he heard this. He knew that there was no absolute invincible beast in this world. No matter what kind of beast it was, they would all have a weakness. This ugly, gluttonous worm Spittoon was no exception. Food residue, die for me. See how this master Spittoon will devour you. The monster fiercely pounced forward. Yu Yang didn't wait for it to close in. He picked up a huge rock and threw it at it, burying it in the mud. Boom! The monster was completely squashed, but it turned into a thin strip and drilled out from the bottom of the rock. With a shake of its body, it returned to its disgusting appearance, as good as new. Little Winley formed a dual blade in her hands and shot out an extremely cold air, sealing the monster in ice. Yu Yang sent it flying with a kick, shattering it into countless ice shards. However, when the ice shards gradually melted into water, the flesh on a monster's body automatically condensed together again, recovering in the blink of an eye. In the sky, Yu Yang brandished his demon blade that was burning with purple flames and forcefully cut off half of the monster's body. He then used his purple flames to burn the pieces of flesh that he had cut off into charred meat. However, the monster didn't care at all. There was no blood on its wound. Countless flesh sprouts grew out from its body and fused together. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the monster had completely recovered to its original meatball appearance. It didn't look like it had been injured at all. I've said it before. Any attack is useless against Spittoon. Lich Suaga laughed out loud. He was so pleased with himself that he forgot himself. Is that so? Yu Yang revealed a smile. His level 2 divine vision had finally seen through it after a long period of observation. This monster Spittoon, it wasn't that it didn't have a weakness. Its weakness was in its body. That was a soul seal that was constantly moving around. As long as he destroyed that soul seal, its body would probably collapse immediately. Although it was a guardian beast and would never truly die, once the soul seal was destroyed, it probably wouldn't be able to recover in a day or two. As long as this Spittoon returned to the summoning grimoire and killed the gold-armored puppet, what other abilities would Lich Suaga have? If he wasn't at his wit's end, he would definitely not summon a beast like Spittoon. Yu Yang made a hand signal to Little One Li and the Bloody Queen. Attack! Facing a gluttonous worm that could continuously split and regenerate without fear of any attacks, Yu Yang decided to use his innate sword chi that could destroy everything. Now that his innate invisible sword chi had reached the 3rd level, he could use it 6 times. Right now, he still had 3 times left. When a monster Spittoon pounced towards Yu Yang fiercely, Yu Yang used his demon blade to split its body apart. Useless! Lich Suaga sneered. I'm going to eat you. The monster Spittoon swelled up its body, preparing to use its body to wrap around Yu Yang and digest him. Little One Li slashed with her dual icicle blades, freezing the monster Spittoon into an ice sculpture. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yu Yang used his left index finger as a sword and accurately pointed at the Spittoon's soul seal. Pa! There was an extremely soft sound of an explosion. It was as if something had shattered. Following that, the monster Spittoon could be seen rolling on the ground in pain as its flesh fell off its body. Its whole body secreted a disgusting, sticky green liquid, as if its ugly meatball body was about to melt. Lich Suaga was stunned, killing his guardian beast gluttonous worm in one hit. How is this possible? The gluttonous worm's soul seal was not affected by any attack at all. So how did it shatter? Could it be that this young man was really an innate? Lich Suaga broke out in cold sweat when he thought of this. On the other side, the Bloody Queen took advantage of the battle between the gold-armored puppet and the barbarian Cow Shadow to launch a sneak attack. The incomparably sharp dragon-slaying dagger pierced through the gold-armored puppet's back and nailed into the core of its magic core. Crackling sparks flew and lightning flashed. The parts on the gold-armored puppet's body kept falling off. From time to time, small pieces of its armor would fly out. Finally, with a boom, it exploded into millions of metal fragments. The Bloody Queen had already flapped her wings and flew up. Together with Yu Yang, they attacked Lich Suaga. What she and Yu Yang did not expect was that Suaji's protective shield was still there even though all of his beasts had died. What was going on? The fog that created the night is also my summoned beast. Although it does not have a body, the grimoire still recognizes it as alive. In other words, we are all in its stomach. As long as it exists, my protective shield will not disappear. At least, it will not disappear before the time limit. Do you want to kill me? Young man, no. Young innate rancor, you are still too inexperienced. Do you see the teleportation orb in my hand? As long as the night disappears, I will leave. You won't even be able to touch a single hair of mine. You can only watch as I leave. Aren't you an innate? Come and kill me. Lich Suaga laughed heartily. Perhaps he felt that his mockery wasn't enough. He arrogantly stored the teleportation orb into his lich ring. Then, he took out a chair and swaggered to sit on it. Holding a glass of wine in his hand, he leisurely drank. Of course, he was actually extremely nervous. Although his guardian beast spittoon would not really die, its soul was injured and it would not recover within a month. The gold-armored puppet's magic core had been completely destroyed. One of the demon crystal orbs had been destroyed by this brat. The other one had fused with the zombie dragon. Its neck had been bitten off by the Reaper Mantis, and the strange little golden beast had bitten off its dragon crystal. Now, the only thing left was the black fog. Fortunately, this brat did not know when the black fog would disappear. The initiative was still in his hands. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous for him to ambush them. He had lost this battle. He did not lose unjustly. His opponent was an innate rancor. Not only did he have many powerful beasts, he was also very cunning. He had been hiding his strength all along. He had made a mistake. He had actually placed the gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis as the main focus of his attacks. He had waited for his beast to fight to the end before coming out to reap the benefits. Losing to such an enemy was not unjustly at all. In this world, other than himself, how many Lich could safely escape from the hands of an innate rancor? As Lich Suagu thought of this, he could not help but feel a sense of comfort. When he reported the news of an extremely young human innate rancor, His Majesty the Lich King would definitely reward him heavily. At that time, his strength would definitely increase. He had not really lost this battle. As long as he returned safely, he would definitely be able to make a comeback. Suddenly, he saw Yu Yang doing a strange action. He could not help but be vigilant. What was this brat trying to do? Could it be that he wanted to attack him through the barrier? Impossible. That's impossible. Before Suo Ji's mind could fade away, a shadow flashed in front of him. An unstoppable sword chi appeared in front of Suo Ji's eyes. Inconceivably, it pierced through the barrier and shot towards Suo Ji's face. Suo Gu was scared stiff. He did not even have time to react. He stared with his eyes wide open as the sword chi stopped just as it was about to touch his forehead. The sword chi did not extend far enough. Just a little bit more, and it would have taken Suo Ji's life. But in the end, because the sword chi was not long enough, Suo Gu managed to escape from death. The sword chi that he had raised in his hand was pierced through by the sword chi. The wine drenched Suo Ji's body. So close. I was almost killed by this brat in an instant. Suo Gu was so scared that he trembled. He quickly stood up and staggered backwards, knocking over his chair. He had to leave immediately. Otherwise, he would be in great danger. However, the time for the black fog to disappear was not up yet, so he could not summon it back. Moreover, once the darkness disappears, the protective shield would also disappear. In front of an innate rancor, even a second before teleportation would be extremely fatal. Lich Sugu stretched out his hand and placed it on the gold-ranked grimoire, preparing to summon his last beast 2 to 3 seconds before the black fog disappeared. He would then maintain the protective shield and use the teleportation orb to leave. He hoped that his last beast would be able to hold on for a few seconds, allowing him to escape smoothly. The moment Gu made up his mind, a white light was suddenly summoned from Little Wen Li's palm. It was incomparably pure and formed into a white light image of a serpent warrior that was more than 10 meters tall. The white light image of the serpent warrior waved its 6 arms and completely purified the black fog in the valley. The black fog instantly disappeared like steam. In less than a second, all the black fog in the valley had been purified and completely dispersed by the white light image of the serpent warrior. Lich Suo Ji's barrier shattered like an eggshell and disappeared with a paw sound. He did not have the time to summon his last beast, because no matter how fast he could summon it, it would still take time. It's over. Lich Suo Gu realized that his barrier had shattered. He hurriedly took out the teleportation ore from his lich ring and crushed it to teleport away. Suddenly, he felt that his entire body was bound by some kind of irresistible force. Yu Yang slowly walked forward and leisurely broke one finger after another from Lich Suoji's hand. He then took out the teleportation orb and tossed it in front of Suogo, who was unable to move. He revealed a devilish smile. Unfortunately, I have to tell you a piece of bad news. My little one, Li's binding inherent skill has already leveled up. It's okay if you can't move. If you want to move, I can help you. For example, I would be very happy to take your head and kick it like a ball. Lord Lich, I can do this kind of work for free. Chapter 121. After defeating Lich Suogo, Yu Yang could not let his guard down because there was still a gold-ranked level 7 Reaper Mantis. Although the Reaper Mantis was at its weakest right now. However, it was still a gold-ranked level 7 beast. If it was not a mother-to-be, then even the giant frost dragon formed from the fusion of the zombie dragon and the demon crystallized spirit orb would not be its opponent, and it would not be in such a sorry state. Yu Yang looked at it cautiously, and the Reaper Mantis also looked at Yu Yang cautiously, as if it could feel Yu Yang's danger. From the beginning, it did not take the initiative to attack Yu Yang, because it could not determine his strength. It felt that this strange young human was not its prey. After releasing the frost, the Reaper Mantis did not leave immediately. Instead, it laid on the ground in pain, producing countless white foam-like substances. There were many golden eggs in the white foam, but all the golden eggs were broken. The female Reaper Mantis searched again and again, as though it was trying to find an egg that was not broken. At this moment, its eyes revealed the natural gaze of a mother, as though it was feeling despair and sorrow for its offspring that had died prematurely. It used its scythe to carefully search the white foam over and over again, as if it was hoping to find an egg that was not broken. However, all the golden eggs had been frozen and broken. Not a single one was intact. The mother Reaper Mantis was still unwilling to give up. It searched again and again, poking at the white foam over and over again. Its gaze touched Yu Yang's heart. Originally, he had thought of taking the opportunity to kill this Reaper Mantis and steal the magic crystal from its body. However, when he saw the despair and sorrow in its eyes, he could not bear to do so. Yu Yang was actually not a soft-hearted man. Even if there were a lot of dead people on the ground, he believed that he would not care too much. However, when he saw a mother Reaper Mantis that was rumored to eat males as soon as it mated, when he saw an animal with such a sorrowful gaze, desperately searching for its offspring that was not frozen to death, he was deeply moved. Although some people were human, they might not be able to compare to this mother-praying mantis. In the end, the Reaper Mantis was in despair. It let out a shrill cry that was almost inaudible to the human ear. It flapped its wings in extreme sorrow and flew up. It circled the white bubbles 3 times in the sky. Suddenly, it let out a shrill cry that was even more shrill. With a flap of its golden wings, it disappeared without a trace. What a pity! Yu Yang discovered that there were at least a few dozen golden eggs the size of ping-pong balls. This was the egg of a gold-ranked Reaper Mantis. Now that the demon crystallized soul sphere was frozen, all of them shattered. After the Reaper Mantis flew away, Yu Yang didn't have the time to lament too much. He immediately put on the Lich ring and carefully sensed it. He discovered that he needed to remove Suo Ji's remaining consciousness and contract with his innate chi before he could use this treasure. Yu Yang estimated that even if he was an innate, he would need at least 10 days to completely remove it. But now he needed it urgently? What should he do? He saw that the golden beast with the giant frost dragon's magic crystal had returned. He immediately passed the Lich ring to it. Help me think of a way to remove Suo Ji's remaining consciousness and contract. I'm telling you, if you dare to eat it, I'll smash you flat and sell you as scrap metal. The golden beast opened its mouth wide and swallowed the Lich ring as if it didn't hear Yu Yang's words. You're forcing me to make a move. See if I don't beat you to death. Yu Yang was going crazy. He prepared to use his innate sword chi to kill this gluttonous monster. Pooey, pooey, pooey. The golden beast opened its mouth and spat out the lich ring. It then spat out a few mouthfuls of dirty water, as if it had eaten something disgusting. "Ah, I was wrong just now. Actually, I was going to praise you. You're really a good child. Not bad. You're second-class merit. Little One Li is even more obedient. Little One Li, you're a first-class merit. No, a special-class merit." When Yu Yang saw that the remaining consciousness and contract on the lich ring had disappeared, he immediately beamed with joy. He coaxed the golden beast with words that were used to coax little children and reached out to stroke its head. If the golden beast could speak, it would probably say to Yu Yang, "I despise you. I've never seen a master like you before." It was a pity that it couldn't speak, so it couldn't express its disdain. In the end, it could only obediently turn into a wrist guard with a protruding belly and return to Yu Yang's hands. It could only consider itself unlucky to have a master like Yu Yang. Yu Yang immediately put on the lich ring again. Using his mind, he discovered that there was a space of a few dozen cubic meters inside. It was filled with all kinds of corpses and bones. He was so disgusted that he hurriedly threw all the corpses and bones out, piling them up as high as a small hill. After hesitating for a while, he cut off the giant frost dragon's horns, teeth and claws, and stored them inside. The dragon's skin was really too rotten. Otherwise, Yu Yang would have wanted a dragon's skin. The poison wyvern that had lost its head earlier was also stored inside. Since he didn't have the giant frost dragon skin, he made up for it by getting a fresh wyvern skin. With the lich ring, Yu Yang felt that it was much more convenient. Everything that caught his eye on the battlefield was stored inside. For example, the Headless Horseman's black greatsword, the golden armored puppet's golden sledgehammer, the blood-winged demon guard's corpse, the long-handled blood axe, and so on. Since he couldn't use them himself, he could sell them at a high price to the fatty Haida-fu. It shouldn't be a problem to extort a sum of money from him. These were all bronze-ranked demon weapons, not goods that could be found on streets. After that, he also stored Suo Ge's and Liu Ben's skulls. In theory, these two fellows were already dead. However, because their bodies had become undead, as long as Yu Yang went to the academy and learned the secret method to read the undead's memories, all the secrets stored in these two skulls would appear in front of Yu Yang one by one. Yu Yang was a little hesitant. Should he store the pile of white foam that had started to solidify inside the skull? If he gave it to Hui Tai Lang to eat, it might be a tonic. However, when he thought of the Reaper Mantis's sadness, Yu Yang couldn't bear to do it. Forget it. No matter what, he had fought alongside the Reaper Mantis before. If he fed the corpse of the Reaper Mantis son and daughter to a dog, it would be a little inexcusable. Little One Li suddenly picked up a broken golden egg and passed it to Yu Yang. Her big eyes blinked, as if she wanted to say something. "Are you saying that this can still be saved?" Yu Yang's heart skipped a beat. He immediately became ecstatic and asked anxiously. Yup. Little One Li nodded cutely. "What a good child." "Bah." When Yu Yang saw this, he happily picked up Little One Li and gave her a big kiss on her tender little face. Although this egg was broken, it wasn't too serious. He had innate qi, so maybe it could still be saved. Yu Yang hurriedly tried his best to channel his innate qi into the cracked egg, but he realized that the effect wasn't very obvious. This egg didn't seem to have any reaction. With his current abilities, it seemed like he still couldn't save this cracked egg. Although innate qi was extremely good at healing injuries, it wasn't very effective at healing a cracked egg. Furthermore, there wasn't much innate qi left in Yu Yang's body. Most importantly, Yu Yang's innate qi was the strongest when it came to attacking. As for healing injuries, he actually didn't know how to use it. If it was the big lowly in his dreams, she might be able to save this cracked egg. Little One Li saw that Yu Yang was sweating profusely. After spending so much effort, there still wasn't any effect. She raised her dual icicle blades and lightly cut on Yu Yang's finger, causing a trace of blood to seep out from Yu Yang's finger. A miraculous sign appeared. When the Reaper Mantis egg came into contact with Yu Yang's blood, it immediately absorbed it as if it had a life of its own. After about 3 seconds, the egg that had been absorbed into a pink color shone with a golden light. The cracked egg quickly disappeared, and in the end, it became a complete egg. Yu Yang was dumbfounded. He didn't know that his blood had such a miraculous effect. The Bloody Queen was also extremely curious. She stared at Yu Yang's injured finger without blinking. Suddenly, she grabbed it and sucked it with all her might. "You blood-sucking witch!" Yu Yang felt that his whole body was weak from being sucked by the Bloody Queen. His fresh blood and innate chi were flowing out from his wound. When he sent her flying with a kick and broke free from his finger, he realized that the Bloody Queen's body was glowing with a golden light. It seemed that her strength had increased tremendously. She flew around excitedly, as if she had obtained a peerless treasure. Although she didn't level up, Yu Yang felt that after the Bloody Queen had absorbed his blood, her strength had increased by a lot. She was almost about to reach gold-ranked level 4 again. However, Yu Yang wasn't that great to let her absorb his blood to level up. He hurriedly used his innate chi to heal the small wound on his finger. Then he placed the golden pellet into the pile of white substance that was slowly condensing, wrapping it up. He hoped that when it hatched later, it would become a cute little gold mantis. Yu Yang felt a sense of accomplishment in his heart. He had successfully saved a life. Although it wasn't a human, it could still be considered a baby. Yu Yang tidied up everything. When he realized that his battle state had ended, his silver grimoire flashed with a pillar of light that was more than 10 meters tall. This time, it wasn't that his silver grimoire had leveled up, it was that Yu Yang had finally leveled up from a high-level apprentice to a beginner brave man. This leveling up was very significant. Yu Yang could originally only summon one beast a day, but now that he had leveled up, he could summon two. The most important thing was that after Yu Yang leveled up, his Divine Vision inherent skill had also leveled up. It was now a level 3 Divine Vision. Yu Yang was so happy that he almost cried. He was one step closer to being able to see through girls' clothes. After forcefully keeping the Bloody Queen that was flying all over the sky, Little One Li also obediently went to sleep. Yu Yang rummaged through the corpses around him, but realized that there wasn't anything useful. He was a little disappointed, but in the end, he unwillingly kept the golden armored puppet's broken core machinery. He reckoned that even if a miser were to clean up the battlefield, he wouldn't be able to find anything useful. Yu Yang was still sighing, because he was still feeling sorry for the rotten dragon skin and the giant dragon skeleton that couldn't be stored in his lich ring. They were all good stuff, but he couldn't bring them away. It was such a waste. Another 5 minutes passed, and a purplish black light flashed in the air. The royal swordswoman used a cloth bag to carry the gray-robed man's skull. Her figure appeared on top of the pile of corpses. She was incomparably shocked when she saw it. What happened? It's a long story. Yu Yang realized that this girl's clothes were neat and tidy, and her hair was not messed up at all. He asked, "Your Highness, you didn't let this perverted old man take liberties with you, did you? You mean him? I entered the dimension of duel, and before he could summon his beast, I had already killed him with one slash. What a pitifully weak fellow. However, entering the dimension of duel was restricted by the laws of time and space. It would take at least an hour before I could return to my original position. If I had used a teleportation scroll to leave, then it would have been possible, but I decided to wait and see your battle. You seem to have experienced a fierce battle. You even have a giant frost dragon. Not bad. You little pervert are quite powerful. Where's the dragon crystal?" The royal swordswoman asked curiously. "What? You're still asking about the dragon crystal? It was the Reaper Mantis who killed the giant frost dragon, and you're asking me for the dragon crystal? I didn't take it." Yu Yang was speaking the truth. It was indeed the Reaper Mantis who killed the giant frost dragon, and he really didn't take the dragon crystal. The one who took the dragon crystal was the golden beast. When the royal swordswoman heard this, she sighed. This brat didn't seem to be lying to her. She couldn't help but sympathize with him. Don't be too sad. It's fine if you don't have the dragon crystal. If there's a chance next time, I'll steal a dragon crystal from the treasury and give it to you as compensation. But you have to keep my secret. You're really not bad. Did you kill all these zombies and skeletons? Not bad at all. I never thought that a black-robed necromancer would be able to summon so many undead summoned beasts, and I never thought that you would do such a good job. Since it's like this, let's forget about what happened before. I've already said that touching your chest was a natural reaction. I didn't do it on purpose. Yu Yang heaved a sigh of relief. She was finally not angry anymore. What? I said I'll forgive you because you took the opportunity to grab my hand and not let go. Touching my chest. I will never forgive you. You definitely did it on purpose. Don't mention it again, or else I won't be able to suppress my anger and kill you with my sword. When the royal swordswoman thought of this brat's wolfish claws and the evil smile on his face, she couldn't help but get angry. If you really hate me, you might as well push me down. I promise I won't resist. Yu Yang muttered softly. What did you say? The royal swordswoman's ears were extremely sensitive. She could clearly hear Yu Yang's soft mutterings, but she pretended not to hear it. I said that you're more beautiful than a flower. You're handsome and charming. Your figure is even more wonderful. You're tall and slender. You have the curves of a sable. Your back view is graceful. You don't have a bad temper, and you smile when you open your mouth. Yu Yang's ability was that he could make people roll their eyes with just one sentence, but he didn't need to take a break in between. It's hard to imagine. I heard from Yu Bing that you were as boring as a virgin at home. You've been like a mute for more than 10 years. Why did you suddenly change? The royal swordswoman had wanted to sternly criticize him at first, but when she thought about it, this brat's words were indeed amusing. She couldn't help but smile brightly. What do you plan to do next? Are you going to Tong Tian Tower to train? Why don't we team up again and do the World Tree quest together? I'm sorry, beautiful princess. I'm illiterate and have never gone to school before, so I have to study in an academy for 2 years. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know how to hold a pen to write a love letter to you. Yu Yang really had the intention to study in an academy to learn some basic knowledge. It wasn't that he didn't have any strength now, but he didn't have any basic knowledge. Yu Yang could kill a lich now, but he didn't know the herbs on the roadside or the beasts around him. His lack of basic knowledge affected his progress. For example, if he had known that the demon crystallized spirit orb could fuse with the zombie dragon to evolve into a giant frost dragon, Yu Yang would have taken action long ago and killed the zombie dragon together with the Reaper Mantis. At the very least, he would have cut off its neck. That way, even if it evolved into a zombie dragon, it would still be a headless giant frost dragon. There was also a lot of knowledge in Yu Yang's mind. Because he lacked basic knowledge, he was unable to research and improve on it. For example, he knew that there was an elixir that was of a higher grade than the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill. However, Yu Yang didn't even know the name of the elixir, the ingredients, and the formula. Even if he knew it existed, he wouldn't be able to refine it. After spending a few months in the academy to cram up his basic knowledge, Yu Yang believed that his strength would improve by leaps and bounds. As for the academy's beauties, he could just woo them while he was at it. The prerequisite was that there were beauties in the academy, and they were still pure virgins. Yu Yang wasn't really interested in those that had been used by others before. If there really weren't any beauties, then it didn't matter. He could just bring one himself. For example, he could find that little girl and Nan to study together. The two of them could sit under the moonlight and lie on her lap as he listened to her explain basic knowledge, while stretching out his wolf claws to touch. That kind of blissful sexual life. That was the ideal blissful sexual life for a wolf. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.